already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Right now, pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul Sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, Brooklyn. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. The like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the NBK. Born and raised up NBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?
Dope Soul.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Knick family. Welcome to the channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk, Dope Soul Knicks Talk, a member of the NBK family. We're here tonight with a special edition of the Just Knickin' It show, all-female panel. A lot of the topics have been talked about on the weekly show here on the Queen's Court by other content creators. But for me, you can have the same questions. But if you have a different panel, it's a different experience. It's a different show. And I'm super excited to hear what Lady and the Chef and Ebony have to say about some of these topics we've been talking about. So with no further ado, let me bring them in. Lady and the Chef of Two Knicks Chick, Ebony, aka Mad Knick fan from Venture Sports Network and the Knick of Time show. How you ladies doing?
Very good. Excited to be here. I feel like we haven't had this in a long time.
We haven't because we skipped December.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And this is almost like a mid-season show as well, right?
Yeah.
The Knicks probably played like 42 games or maybe 43 games or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we could talk about just how we feeling about the Knicks at the midway point. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Be sure to hit that like button on your way in the door. All right. You know what? Let's get this out the way because I haven't spoken to you two since the trade. So just your thoughts on the trading of Quickly and Barrett, and then we'll get your thoughts on OG's addition to the team. But just your thoughts on the trade of Quickly and Barrett. What was your initial feelings, response? Lady and the Chef, then Eb, and then we'll switch it the next question.
For me, I was shocked and then I wasn't. I think because it just came so randomly. And I was just like, wait a minute. I think actually Devalox called me and was like, did you just hear what happened? I was like, no. She was like, yeah, RJ and Quickly got traded. And I was like, wow. She's like, yeah, they're both going to Toronto. So for me, I think it was that initial shock. But I think it was a good move, to be honest, because for RJ, we've had RJ for 5 years. He was very hot and cold. So he started some seasons off strong. And then he would have, or not even started off. This was his first season that he started off strong, but he would have slow starts.
That's true. And
then he would be very up and down throughout the season. Mm-hmm. And then with Quickly, it's unfortunate because I really did like Quickly on the Knicks. But the problem with Quickly, a lot of it was the Knicks didn't want to pay him and match his number that he was looking for. I believe the Knicks was short $7 million of what he was asking for. Mm-hmm. But I liked Quickly because we had that second point guard ball handling for the bench. Mm-hmm. And then with RJ, I thought RJ started off well, but as soon as he experienced those migraines and then he had the knee injury, he plateaued from there. And we were all like, what's going on? And I know somebody was, telling me in the chat one day, they said, oh, RJ's giving about 18 to 20. I said, he's actually not. He's giving you around 15 points a game. Mm-hmm. Some games it was maybe like around 13, but 13 to 15 points a game. But nonetheless, I think it was a smart move for the Knicks as they got rid of some of the dead weight. They showed that they're willing to make moves.
Yeah, I didn't even think they was breathing before the move. So
right.
You're right.
Right. So they show they have somewhat of a pulse and they're willing to make moves. Right. And I said, this is a step in the right direction. As like I always say, change can be good. So I'm happy with the trade.
Mm-hmm. Ebony, what was your initial thoughts?
Hi y'all. I feel like I ain't talked to y'all forever. I
I
just wanted to say
know. How
that.
are you?
I'm good. Happy New Year, I guess. Yeah,
That's
Happy
true.
New
That's
Year.
true. Happy New Year.
Yes, definitely. At first I was like emotional at first, like dag. Like
Hmm.
two of the kids going at the same time. Like
Yeah, you love them kids, so I know you had a hard
dag. I was like, dag. And this is the first time in a long time we had like a core where it was the same kind of roster year after year
time.
after year. So it was different feeling. I haven't really felt that since like I was a kid, 90s type of style, when we had the same roster, a little bit with Mello, but more so than the 90s. So it was different to have homegrown talent and lots of it. But this trade, I love it. I love the other side of the ball. So you
Hmm.
actually, OG. I said I was gonna watch, but I like everything I see. I do. He doesn't do too much. If that makes sense. He just
Yeah.
fits in. We plugged in some a major hole
Hmm.
of holes. Like we created one with our bench mate, but the fact that we can guard the Tatums and Anthony Edwards of the world now.
Hmm.
That feels like we have a shot at every team when we go up against them. You want to see us against competition now to see how we measuring up.
Hmm.
So yeah, I like the trade. Initially, I was a little emotional, not so much mad, just like dag. It was a shock
Mhm.
because this is a team we got to have a lawsuit against.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be possible, right?
Name.
Yes, we have a lawsuit against them. So even though OG's name had come up a lot in trade ideas, everybody was like, that's not happening. We got,
Mhm.
that lawsuit with Toronto, and then boom, it happened. So the front office is showing it doesn't matter. They trade within the division, they trade with whoever.
That is
Mhm.
true.
And they're doing better for the kids. They did give them better opportunities.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the deal. I'm excited. This kind of reminds me of when Denver and Milwaukee started building around their stars.
Right. There you go. We'll stay with you. Just you just finish your thoughts on OG. I know you talked about him some, but if you wanted to add anything to, what you've seen from OG, is he who you expected from seeing him afar? Is he more? Is he less? Just your overall thoughts on him.
He's more. He's more. I knew he was a good defender. I knew he was a good, shooter. But to see him play there and get more comfortable, like it doesn't take much room for him to be able to shoot one. And one of the questions I had was his mid-range areas. He able to get his own shot consistently. In the last game, you saw him with the bench unit and recognizing I have to be the aggressor. I have to
Right.
be the one to score. So and the defense. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I just light up. You feel like giddy watching them play. He locking up, playing two people at once on some plays,
Hmm.
helping out, and I can't wait for Mitch to come back because again, that's too. It's like having a Mitch on a perimeter, and he's allowed to stay more stationary, not having to help so much. I would like to see what that looks like. Um, yeah, I like this trade a lot. It plugged up a major hole flaw that we had as a team, and it gives us a chance, and it gives Julius Randle and Brunson a better emergency exit option.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And we'll talk more about the center position later on in the show. Lady in the shop, your thoughts on
OG.
OG? Yeah.
Yeah, I think OG is a great fit for this team. He fits on the team like a glove. He's well poised. He doesn't say much, but I think he's here and he means business. And I think that's good. I think it's cool for players. Like I saw Mikal Bridges during the Nets game yesterday, and he was like, how players have their little signature moves that they do while after they shoot a basket and they're on fire. And that's cool. But you guys are not winning. So I don't think you should be celebrating anything. We know you could score the points, and make baskets. But what I love about OG, he seems like he has this agenda on his mind to really be about winning and bring a championship to the Knicks. And this is what the Knicks need. These kind of players who have this eye of the tiger, who's going to come out and be scrappy and come out with this like high energy and be scrappy, which the Knicks really, to me, that was one of the things that they lacked when we played in the playoffs second round against Miami. We
Right.
weren't scrappy enough. We weren't hungry enough. You know, the Knicks just were a step or two too slow and just weren't ready. You know, the Knicks looked like a high school team going against a college or NBA team when they played Miami. You know, and it wasn't just the fact that they weren't making shots. It just that grittiness was missing. And I like with OG, I know Steph and I were talking about this before we went on tonight. He does a lot of little things that's not going to show up on the highlight reels. But if you're a true Knicks fan and you're watching the replays, you'll see him, you know, poke his hand out and make a
Yes.
simple play, but it's an impactful play that will lead to, you know, one of our guys getting the ball and we go down the other end of the court and we're able to, you know, make a nice basket, you know, in return. But he does a lot of the little intangibles. And I just think the fact that he can hit that short corner three is very nice as well. He's not afraid to go to the basket, so he's aggressive when we need him to be. I know we were playing one team and, you know, we had four offensive rebounds in a row. And finally, OG got the ball and said, yo, I'm going to just dunk it. Like,
Right.
I don't know what y'all doing, but y'all making yourselves tired. And we're not playing, you know, we're not playing smart, you know. So I just like that he is like the cleanup guy, but he's also a factor in that both Randle and Brunson feel comfortable passing him that ball at the same time. So I think he's a great fit for this team. And I like what I see, what he's doing.
Yeah. Um, I want to say to R. De La Cruz, I'm trying to answer you, but my keyboard is stuck. So I dropped the link. If there's any female in the chat who wants to join the panel, I dropped the link earlier. I'll try to drop it again if I can get my mouse and keyboard to work right. You're definitely welcome to you know, to join the show. Would love to hear from you. Do you think, you know, OG doesn't command the ball? Um, you know, he allows it to come to him.
Mhm.
How comfortable do you see him as a third option offensively, like in the playoffs, if Randall is double teamed, if Brunson is being worn down a little bit, do you see him as somebody that can get his own basket if needed?
OG,
Yes.
yeah. I
Okay.
think I don't think OG the difference where it's like compared to RJ. RJ needed the ball in his hands,
Mhm.
and I think RJ was so left dominant, and his moves were very predictable.
Mhm.
And I think that, you know, at times RJ was very explosive when he was able to go to the basket, and it looked nice. And I think especially this season he was able to finish at the rim, which was
Right.
key. You know, his shots were being knocked down. But I think with OG, if the Knicks don't have another option, and let's say like the defense is really owning in on either Randle or Brunson, or they're doubling Brunson or Randle, I think OG is able to take that ball to the hole and he can get the Knicks baskets if they need to, or drive to the hole and he can dish the ball off and get somebody else involved, whether that's DiVincenzo or Josh Hart, so that they can shoot the basket and he can help create baskets even if he's not doing it himself. But I think that he has that nice balance that he can either get us score the ball or he can pass off and get other guys involved where they can make plays outside of both Randall and Brunson, who, if for ever reason, if they're either off or the defense is playing them way too, you know, aggressively, that they can't get anything off. So I think that's the difference with him, is that he's not going to dribble the ball down to 2 seconds left on the clock like Quickly would do sometimes with too much dribbling, you
Mhm.
know, or he's not going to go and force something to the basket like RJ sometimes and then not finish. So, and he has great timing. You know, if like someone misses a layup or a shot, he's able to like get off his feet and tip that ball in or grab the rebound. So I think that he's able to balance and do both, and he can create for his own on his own.
Okay. Ebony, your thoughts on that?
I think, yeah, I think he can. I think he's still learning how to really like create off the bounce.
Mhm.
Um, some of the moves, it doesn't. It looks like he's thinking. It doesn't look like, you know, it was natural in the beginning. That's why I wanted to see more. But then he showed me, yeah, he has a pull up. You know, his he rocks people to sleep. And he's like you said, RJ was kind of predictable. OG is not as predictable, and he's not flashy with it either. So, but you have to respect his shot,
Mhm.
and in doing so, it gives him, the advantage to go to the lane. And then when he's going, he's not trying to lay the ball up many times. He normally, like you mentioned, finishes at the rim. So yeah, I think he can create on the shot, his own shot, and I think I liked him with the bench the other game. Definitely, he showed a little bit more of what's in his bag. But we were talking. You mentioned RJ. When RJ was hitting his 3 pointers, if he was getting to the rim more easy,
Right.
he stopped hitting it. That got a little bit more difficult. So with OG with OG, he's consistent from out there, and they have to respect that. So if he gets that the 3-way level scoring, I think he has it though. He has it. He's gotten better every year. So I'm just
Yeah.
excited to see this team grow.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if I'm sold on OG as a number three. I agree though. He definitely surprised me with putting the ball on the floor, taking it to the basket. He's so fundamentally sound when he drives baseline, draws the defender. His interior passing is underrated.
Mhm.
But to me, being a third option is skill is part of it, but mentality is another part of it. And RJ had that mentality, even if we felt his game was limited. OG, he has a more diverse skill level, you can say, in terms of he can hit the mid range, he can hit the three, he can drive to the basket. But his mentality is like, I'm just gonna take it if it comes. If it doesn't come, like he don't have that killer. I'm not taking anything away from him, but he don't have that like, oh, Brunson, you struggling right now. Randle, you all right, I got you. I
Mhm.
don't really see that. I don't really see that in him. But to your point, Ebony, I saw that when he was with that bench unit, being a bit more aggressive and looking around and saying, "Okay, I guess it's me." So
Right.
maybe that's still coming. Maybe that is a part of him, but he's just young, not young, but new to the team and just trying to fill his way out. Your thoughts on the Knicks direction now with trading RJ, trading Quick. There's been reports that they're looking to trade Grimes. What do you make of that? Let's start with you. I don't know who was first or last. Let's start with you, lady in the show. Then we'll go to Ebony. What do you make of them moving off of the younger players?
I think if we had the younger players who were a bit more who were contributing to the team and the confidence was there, I I would say keep them around. But I think right now the Knicks we still have a few guys who are just not there yet and not ready yet. Grimes being one and Sims being the other to me. And I would even include Deuce McBride, who's not really ready. And one of the things that I kept harping on was that the Knicks have a lot of dead weight that they need to get rid of. Um, I think that the Knicks are showing that they're trying to look and find their identity. I know this is one of the things you had spoke about too, Queen, on one of your episodes, is that like, what direction is this team going in? And that was one of the questions I would just literally as a fan, I'm like, where is the Knicks trying to go? Because for so many years, we were just a team that just played throughout the regular season and didn't make the playoffs. And in the past few seasons, the Knicks of making the playoffs. And, one of the things for me, I think the Knicks right now are trying to make the moves that they need to make. They did their first phase move, and I think they have a phase two and possibly even a phase three. Phase two could be with the February trade deadline, and phase three can be on the off season, right? However that moves may be.
Mhm.
But I think that the Knicks are trying to become one of those teams who are like a Philadelphia 76ers, like a Boston Celtics, who are known to make the playoffs every year. I
Mhm.
think that's where you have to start. You have to be known as a team who makes the playoffs every year.
Agree.
Those teams, even though they get out whenever they get out in the postseason, they make the playoffs every year.
Right.
So I think the Knicks need to be known as a team who, okay, these guys, they're making it. They have a solid regular season and they make the playoffs every year. They
Right.
not can't just make the playoffs, but get past that first round and really the second round if you can, because we know you've made it to the second round, so we know you're capable of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Knicks have to be known as that team who, you know, you also keep your standings within the Eastern Conference, at least no higher than fifth,
Mm-hmm.
within the Eastern Conference. But they are very much capable, especially this season, to be at number 3 or 4 within the Eastern Conference. But nonetheless, I think the Knicks, with the trades that they did, so starting with RJ and quickly, they're trying to find their identity and at who they are as a team, as an organization. Because
Right.
before they were just the Knicks, no one takes them seriously. And I think people are starting to watch and notice the Knicks now because they are beating teams that they're supposed to beat. They're, getting big wins against teams that they're supposed to. I think that they still have a long way to go, but I think teams are starting to notice. And I think especially however this season turns out,
Mm-hmm.
will garner more attention for the Knicks in a good way. I mean, and again, because you hear like, I know earlier I heard on Michael K show, they were playing a clip from Candace Parker. And I mean, they just love having Jalen Brunson, love talking about this guy. And she was saying, she was trying to backtrack on what she said about Jalen Brunson, saying, oh, well, he didn't really do anything in the second round. And Michael K said, what is she talking about? She was on ESPN when she said this. He said, what
Yeah.
is she talking
Yeah. I
about?
remember. I
She
remember.
he was averaging 30 plus points a game.
He
But
had a
it's just
better second round than first round.
first round, right? And I just think it's that lack of respect, not just even for the individual players, And again, I know especially a lot of Knicks fans will say, oh, well, we harp on, we're so quick to criticize Randle when he has one bad game or has 5 turnovers or 8 turnovers in a game. And, we get on Brunson about this. But I think as a whole, the community and the sportscasters and the content creators, I think part of us, we do this because we've all been waiting so long for a championship that we want this team to be better. So we're all trying to look for it in a better. And I think the Knicks organization are making those moves. They're making change happen. It's slowly, but it's happening. But I
Yeah.
just don't want it to be too slow because
Yeah.
the great players will get taken. So
Right.
I like that what they're doing with that phase 1 trade. I'm looking forward to phase 2.
Yeah. I agree. While you two are talking, I'm gonna be highlighting comments. So hopefully that's not too distracting. That's relevant to what we're talking about.
Okay. Okay.
Ebony, your thoughts on where you think the organization is going and moving those two, and the rumors that they're even looking to move Grimes.
I agree with a lot of Lady and Chef said. Definitely, I think that they're in a win, not a win now, but they're trying to contend. They want to contend. You see that they done with the development. They're done with the projects, it seems.
Mhm.
And they want to contend. They want to put pieces around their stars who they believe in, around them. One thing with Grimes, he has been up and down with his shooting. I think he's like 30, still at 39% from three though.
Mhm.
And the thing with him is he's been consistent on the defensive end. The bench struggled a little bit shooting against the Nets, but the Nets struggle shooting against that bench too. That bench makes people struggle, and the direction that the Knicks are taking with the roster is that they want to play physical. They want people to feel them. They want to wear you down, throw different looks at you. And with OG, you can do that now more. You can definitely do that. And with Grimes and them, they lock up. With a league that's focused on offense, New York took a different approach, kinda, I believe. And I think to the best success for the New York Knicks happens when you kind of build around Brunson and Randle, like you would build around like LeBron, what LeBron James needs. You know how
Right.
LeBron James needs a bunch of shooters around normally. That's what I feel that the Knicks need to do, and they pretty much doing that. That's what we see Dante, the number 1 and 2 corner 3-point shooters in the league. So definitely, I'm looking forward, like Lady and Chef said about the second move. We have to get rid of Fournier. They can't just keep him on the bench. And I know they're not trying to just buy him out. So maybe another piece that we could get for him and a pick or whatever. Yeah, and see, and then maybe use Grimes for a bigger piece in the off season. See, give him another full guest year, no excuses, and make the decision in the off season for that another trade and another part of the I guess the journey or whatever. Yeah, I like where we're going. A lot of people, like you said, they ask what is our direction. I think they answered that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure Grimes has the value to headline a star for a trade for a star. You may have to put him and Fournier's money um, together. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Knicks do as far as that's concerned. And I agree. This is a turn that I've been calling for a really long time because I saw how Randle and Brunson was just ahead of the rest of the roster who still needed to grow. And the Knicks need to make a decision like, who are you putting around these guys? And no disrespect to Grimes and McBride, because I feel like they're where they should be at this point in their career. Like, your second or third year in the league, you're going to be inconsistent. You're going to have stretches where you shoot lights out, and then you're going to have bad games because you're still figuring it out. Like, that's the hardest thing, to be consistent at your craft, right?
Yes, guys. I
But
want to say something
mhm,
real quick too.
mhm,
Also about the like a lady and chef was saying about the playoffs, making the playoffs consistently. As long as each year you get to the playoffs and you get a little further or do a little bit better. That's what you're looking for in your team. That's growth.
mhm,
That's growth. You're not stuck in the same spot. Remember Toronto, they were stuck in the same spot for a long time.
yeah,
They moved on from DeMar DeRozan. Like that's what we, as long as we're growing and we keep going. Maybe for once, maybe if that happens, if we do that, somebody comes to us, somebody asks for us, and then we can get rid of some of that Nick tax to actually help us out one time. We could get one of those deals where they be like, that's all they gave up. So yeah, I definitely believe that comes with consistency. So I think a lot of people who want to play in New York, they may be scared to be the first ones to play in New York. I think that was the issue.
yeah, perhaps. So yeah, as I was saying, I do think Grimes and McBride was where they needed, where they need to be in their career. We're just at a point where we need consistent players who know who they are at this point in their career. Um, with the changes we've made so far, how much ground do you think we've gained? Um, I don't even want to say over the top three, but gained in reference to the top three teams of Boston, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia. Then, and do you think we've kind of separated ourselves from the rest of the Eastern Conference? Now, keep in mind, Miami just traded for Rozier, so they're stronger, and Indiana, traded for Siakam. So, do you think the Knicks gained any um, ground at all, or even overtaken any of them?
I
I
think they oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
not that.
I think they gained some ground. I think, to me, the Knicks are in this testing phase right now.
Mhm,
Like, to me, watching as a fan, I'm looking like, okay, we made some changes. The defense has gotten better to some degree,
mhm,
but I'm still looking to see how the Knicks, especially how they close out this month.
mhm.
And
At
then
home, right? With all these
right,
home
exactly,
games?
exactly, with the home games, I want to see how they close out this month, and then usually a lot of teams start to go on a run after All-Star break. So for me, I think I'm looking to see, can the Knicks beat Denver? Can the Knicks beat Boston? Can the
Yes.
Knicks beat Milwaukee?
Yep.
Can you beat OKC? So that's, to me, where, if I can see where the Knicks, out of a season series against those better teams of 4 or 5 games in a season, throughout the season, If the Knicks can beat those teams or even it out, then I can say the Knicks have grown and they've gained some ground.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, the Knicks haven't, you know, there's certain games that the Knicks have just lost, and there's been collapses in some of those games, and it's gonna happen. I get that. That is some nights it's not gonna be their night. But I think when you allow a team to beat you 3, 4 times in a row, that's concerning. But for me, I think they've gained some ground. I think they're still in a testing phase, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to see how they come out of this test. And I think the real test is going to be how they close out this season, where they are in the Eastern Conference standings, and then how well they separate themselves and how hungry they come out in the playoffs. So I
Yeah.
think that,
Mm-hmm.
fourth through like sixth or seventh is very tight. While the Knicks have been winning, games, but like you just mentioned, with other teams making their trades and little moves here and there, again, after All-Star break, teams like to go on a run. And I don't want the Knicks to lose that momentum, if anything. And then, with a guy like Hartenstein out, I just think that
Yeah.
can Sims and Precious be able to hold it down until Hartenstein gets back? And then when Mitch gets back, can Mitch get back in the running and be able to in that real time gameplay? Or is he gonna come out like I was saying to you before we started, like this how Randle came out at the start of the season? He was like treading lightly because he didn't want to tweak his ankle. So Mitch may come out where he's like, even if, like you said, if he can give us 12 to 15 minutes a game, great.
Right.
But he's going to be a huge attribute nonetheless to the team, and we're going to need him down the stretch. But I think the Knicks right now in a testing phase, and I want to see how they truly close out the rest of this month and the remainder of this season. And that to me will show me there's been changes, and not just for the wins, but did they beat those teams that they should have challenged and beat those better teams in the league?
Yeah. Before Ebony go, I just want to add the Knicks are 18-0 versus teams who are under 500, and I'm not sure what it is, 3 and something, 4 and something for against teams who are over 500. And if they're going to be contenders, you need to beat those teams,
Right.
right? And so I'm with you. I want to see them against Boston. I want to see them against Milwaukee. I want to see them against this Miami, who will play the game after next
Yeah.
in Indiana. I want to see how this team stacks up. Ebony?
Yes, this is new feeling. This is definitely a new feeling where you ready for everybody. You like, yes, let's
Mm,
go, let's get it. We had a stretch where we played, Minnesota, we
mm,
played the Sixers, and
yep.
we did very, very, very well against those teams. So uh that was a promising sign. And then with Milwaukee, they didn't haven't played this new year, the 2024 Knicks yet, So that can come in handy. They have no tape against us, and the new 2024 or Knicks. But I had concerns with when Brunson went down. We struggled.
Right.
We didn't look we didn't look so good a couple of games. We had a stretch of games where we struggled to win. Like we still kind of get trying to get out of that funk, I guess, because we kind of struggled. Yeah, we did struggle against the Nets yesterday.
Yeah, we did. We
We
did.
let Mikael Bridges go off, but I think that with again the way Randle and Brunson are playing right now, 1-on-1, I don't think there's many people that can mess with them. And if we get more another shooter like a Brogdon or whoever, a piece to get rid of Evan, I think that allows them to do it. The more shooters allow them, to work in their space 1-on-1, and we're seeing what that looks like. Teams really can't help as much. They're punishing them. We still go through our droughts, but I really think I like the way this team is made up. I think our defense makes offense also. So we don't only have to I'm sorry, we don't only have to depend on a half court set. We're getting into transition more than I've seen in forever. I don't know remember the time we pushed as much as we're doing now. I see in Julius Randle's filling lanes, you know, so we're getting offense in different ways, and we can win with scrappy plays, and that helps in the playoffs when things get tight. Those
Right.
the points like that, when you can make offense off your defense,
Right.
definitely will help us and take some of the pressure off of Randle, so he doesn't feel so pressured maybe and can just play it. Because to me, he seems like he's having a lot of fun right now. And maybe that helps in his play to just feel relaxed. Who knows? We don't know what the players, go or thinking, but I like what I'm seeing so far, and I hope it continues.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I hope it continues. I'm talking about the team when Brunson goes down, not necessarily miss a game, but also when he just comes out for a breather. What's your thoughts on McBride as the backup point guard? I know he's been shooting better, and obviously the defense has always been there. But your thoughts on him as our primary backup guard, um, because those non-Brunson minutes are important. They're super important. Lady in the South.
I like Deuce. In my opinion, Deuce actually looks better out on the floor than Grimes.
Mhm.
And I think some of that comes from the fact that he had the experience going from the G League to going on the bench of the Knicks. Even if he was only getting 4 or 5 minutes, he was getting the experience from both. And I think that helped boost his confidence. But as the backup point guard, I'm just not comfortable with Deuce running point. I just don't see him being that savvy with the ball and crafty with his moves. And I'm not asking him to be all fancy like Jalen Brunson and do those moves that he does, but I just don't feel confident and comfortable with him handling the ball and being that facilitator and orchestrator on the offense like the Knicks need. I don't think his decision making as a point guard is there like you need a true point to do, and to be able to make the right pass and the right timing. And, I think he's good to be behind the perimeter or to cut to the basket. But I'm not really comfortable with him being the backup point and, handling the ball and, standing at the top of the key. Or if there's a full court press, I get nervous because he's not the tallest. Jalen Brunson isn't either, but he knows how to get around guys. And with Deuce, I feel like if he gets double teamed or he's getting that full court pressure, I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna be on edge watching the game. Like he may stop his dribble. You hear Clyde, stop stopping your dribble. He's like, why do these guys pick up the ball and stop dribbling that ball? So, but I don't to me, I do think that the Knicks that's one of the moves I think the Knicks need to make is we need a guy who can not only get us a bucket, but who can handle the ball and be able to be a backup to Brunson, because at the rate that we're going, it's not sustainable. When you get to the postseason, you want Brunson to play all the minutes, and he's proven that he can. I think you need to be able to, like you said, give him a breather at times so he can sit down and have somebody who tips can feel comfortable 5 minutes here, another 5 minutes there to put the guy in the, handle the ball and be able to get Randle the ball or DiVincenzo the ball or Hartenstein or Mitch the ball down low. And the
Right.
Knicks don't have that right now.
Yeah, no doubt. Before we get to Eb, I just want to piggyback on what you're saying, particularly in the playoffs, where the intensity of the playoffs can make. I've seen veteran players, the intensity of the playoffs make them ineffective, and they look different than they do in the regular season. How much more somebody who's been in the league 2 or 3 times? So I mean years. So I feel uncomfortable with McBride and Grimes as our starting backup in the playoffs. Now, don't get me wrong; anything can happen. They can play lights out, but it's just not a chance I'm willing to take. And I hope
Mhm.
I hope it's not a chance the Knicks are willing to take, because points are at a premium in the playoffs. And
Yeah,
so if every time Brunson goes to the bench, we're losing the lead, that puts a lot of pressure on the starters when they get back in the game.
right.
So I agree with you. I think that is primary for the Knicks to find a seasoned backup for Brunson who can run our second unit, um, and give 10 to 12, 10 to 15 minutes. I don't think we're at effective minutes.
Yeah,
10 to
exactly.
15 effective minutes. Ebony?
I I don't I think that Deuce has improved. I
Mhm.
definitely do. Um, and speaking of Clyde, like he said, Deuce does a lot of going east to west. He doesn't go north, go towards the basket. He always makes the wide turns instead of trying to get to the basket. So I'm still giving him grace because he is trying to, he just got pushed into the role from not playing to having a role on the team. So I'm not going to crucify him, but I've seen for a while that, for him to be so small, his first step is not there. It's not it's not really there, and his handle. I want him to have the Obi treatment. Like I used to tell Obi,
Mhm.
if you go to the club, dribble to the club. You go to the store, dribble to the store. Like
Mhm.
that's what McBride needs to do. That ball needs to stay in his hand all the time. Yes, the decision making has been inconsistent. You see him not really so sure or comfortable in situations. I
Mhm.
forgot. I think it was the Orlando game where him and Randle got like mixed signals, communication with who was running the play or what they were doing.
Mhm.
So maybe definitely he's shooting the ball lights out though. So he's been hitting the shot, and that was the main thing. We said if he could hit some shots, he could stay on the floor. So
Mhm.
he's hitting some shots. He's still playing defense. I don't know. Maybe he can be off ball, like kind of like what Quickly did a little bit, but he has to get the handle together. And again, it took Quickly a little minute. So again, I don't know if they want to wait, like you were mentioning earlier. Do you wait for him to show or develop or add to his game, or do you just say, okay, we need somebody right now, and plug that player in? But I think he's playing a great shooting guard. He's a couple of
Mhm.
inches taller. We be talking about definitely a backup shooting guard for our team. So I don't know. I'm still just gonna give him grace, a couple of more games, but to really see if he can do
I hear you. I've seen enough though. But listen, I think part of it also, listen, even when he came out of West Virginia, the scoop on him was that he was a shooting guard in a point guard's body. If you saw him in West Virginia, he was really good at being able to get into the key, and that mid range was deadly. His 3-point shooting came around, his last season, at West Virginia. It's coming around now,
Mhm.
but we need somebody to run the team,
Yeah.
to run that second unit. And he's somebody, even if you're not if you can get into the lane and put the defense in rotation, that's going to open up open shots for guys. But because of his handle and his speed or lack thereof, he can't get into that key a lot to draw defenders and then find the open guys. So I think that's a issue for the Knicks right now, and the Knicks know it. The Knicks know that the bench is a little short right now, and they're doing what they can to shore it up, but they're trying to be smart about it. I'm guessing they don't talk to us, right? I'm
it.
guessing that they're, you know,
I like Deuce's off ball movement also. I
mhm,
like when he cuts, him and iHeart do well with that backdoor
mhm,
pass. But yeah, point guard, I'm not sure. I'm
yeah,
I'm giving him grace though. I'm
right.
chill.
And even
I'm
and
done.
even yeah, even if he can develop into it, like say next year or 2 years down the line, we need something now, because that's how I feel about Grimes. I feel like Grimes is where he should be,
Mhm.
and he's a bit inconsistent. This is his third year, but probably just 2 years of NBA game experience because of the injuries, right? He's going
Mhm.
to be inconsistent. It's just that he's inconsistent on a team that right now needs some inconsistency, some consistency. I'm sorry. So I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Sports Guru, you can find me on Twitter at BKSteph33. Um, what's your handle, Ebony?
Mad Nick fan. You can find me a Mad Nick fan on X or Twitter.
Yeah,
Them-
you see it right there. Matt, Nick fan, and Lady and the Chef is not on Twitter yet, right?
No, we're not on X yet. We're
Okay,
coming to it.
next. X. I
Theater.
keep saying Twitter X. Yes,
I still like Twitter though. The
I
name.
like Twitter too. But
Yeah.
um,
Twitter can be a jungle sometimes.
yeah, I don't
Wow,
really
wow,
go
West.
on as much. I really don't. Um, all right, let's talk about the team as a whole. Um, do you think we just need to shore up the bench? And I'm talking about for championship contention, not just for this particular season, just overall. Do you think we just need to shore up the bench, or do you think to be contenders we're going to need another? Doesn't have to be an All NBA, doesn't have to be a superstar type player, but that we need another All Star level player. Ebony, we'll start with you.
uh I was saying not too long ago, I didn't know because we so up and down. I was like, I don't know what we need right now. I don't know if we need a backup power forward, a playmaker, a start and shoot guard. I was
Right.
like, I didn't know. But right now, I think I can say I think we need another person, creator maybe off the bench. I
Mhm,
like the two ball dominant players in the starting lineup. It seems to be a difference maker. You see the offense flows a little bit more different. And
mhm,
remember, we talked about those bailout passes before. I tell you
mhm,
about again,
mhm,
they have better options now to do that.
mhm,
You have more consistent, efficient options
mhm,
when you do pass.
mhm,
So and again helps Randle and Brunson one on one. If you put another ball dominant person in that starting lineup, it will be like RJ where they're trying to find their shots or find their way or playing in the same areas, like the same areas of the court. So
mhm,
I kind of like that they have more room now because it's just basically them two when it comes to shot creating in that starting lineup. Dante does what Dante does some playmaking and pushing when he plays a passing lane, things of that nature. And yeah, OG does too. He moves the ball too, and we're seeing a little bit more of his shot creation as the games go by. So I like the starting unit because they're not forcing it, they're not doing too much, and they allow Brunson to be Brunson and Randle to be Randle. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
I will say this though. Um, KP is the third option on Boston. He's not ball dominant, but he's an all-star level player. Chris Middleton is the third option on Milwaukee, and he's fallen off a little bit, but and at one time he was a second option. Um, he's he's made an all-star team. So you can get an all-star level player that doesn't necessarily have to be ball dominant. Um, RJ Barrett took 15, 16 shots a game. So, and Brunson still averaged what he averaged, and Randall still averaged what he averaged. So I think there is room there. And the only reason I say this, and those in the chat may have heard me say this 100 times. As good as Brunson and Randall are as a duo, there's some other duos that are better than them. And so I feel like our third option might need to be a little better
Yeah.
than theirs because our duo is just not that. They're really good and they're up there. I think the Knicks are ranked first or second in scoring as a duo. Um, I think our third option has to be something. And right now, our third option, some would argue, is OG. Some would argue that OG is our third best player, but Devo is our third best offensive player. And I just think if we're going to win a championship, we're going to need um, a bit more when you look at the third options on these other teams. Um, but yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that all we have to do is shore up our bench and make it work. Lady in the shop, your thoughts.
I think the starting position is I think it's okay for right now. I mean, I wouldn't mind if we brought in someone better and had maybe DiVincenzo go back to the bench. if we brought in someone who's better. But
Right.
DiVincenzo's been actually shooting the ball really well, especially from three.
Hmm.
So I do think that while I think you brought up a excellent point with both Randle and Brunson, I think they're a pretty good duo, but they're not a talked about duo. And not that you need to be talked about on ESPN and have Ian Begley and all these other blogs, talk sports podcasts and stuff talking about you, but I think that they're not talked about as much is because, I'm gonna go back to like yesterday's game against Brooklyn.
Hmm.
That was an okay game. It was like watching a movie that I really didn't like, and I was mad that I spent $15 on a ticket,
Hmm.
if they're still that price, because I haven't been to the movies in a long time. But it was just a very okay game. I thought the Knicks really didn't pull away till late in the fourth.
Right.
And I think and they didn't do that to both when Brunson and Randall came in the game late in the fourth.
Right.
But also teams like that we should be blowing out. The Knicks haven't been blowing them out. We've
Right.
had a few games where we've blown teams out, but I'm talking teams that the Knicks should be beating them by 20 points at least, 15, 20 points. You're beating them by 6, 7 points.
Right.
These teams, Detroit's and your Spurs and teams like that, where I'm like, what happened? Why are we playing to this like okay level? And I think part of that is the energy sometimes that the Knicks brings when they play against teams who are not that good, that are under 500. And then when we play the better teams in the league, the Knicks seem to have that better, higher energy and they're ready to come in and play, right? But I think that the Knicks, to me, you do need a solid backup in the center position.
Hmm.
I think I really love Hartenstein, but I think if we have to be realist, and I don't think that the Knicks are going to be able to keep Hartenstein, Mitch, and then you have Preston Chua, who the Knicks could opt out and get rid of him, right? But
I think he's
Hartenstein,
a restricted free agent, if I'm
right?
not mistaken.
But Hartenstein is going to be looking to get the bag like Quickly was, and rightfully so. He's proven
I don't
that
know about 25 million for a center though.
I don't think it should be 25. I agree, but he's
Yeah.
definitely going to want more money. But what concerns me is, okay, if the Knicks go into that phase two move, trade, or whatever they do, sure, we have a ton of picks, but you bring in who, hypothetically, I'm using an example, they bring in Murray. Murray's contract is really high. And then now you still have Brunson and Randall who are due for paydays coming up. So how do you disperse that money amongst all these guys? And I believe I heard you talking about this stuff on one of your episodes this past week. And I was like, damn, that's a really great point, because it's just you Mitch contract is they got him for the cheap. You got Mitch at a low price. I think if they're gonna be realistic, then you keep both of those guys. But my only concern with Mitch is his health status. And then now what do you do? Because you take a chance on him and you keep him around. Next season he suffers another injury. Now Hartenstein has to keep running the center position to himself, which he's been able to hold it down and he's done a fantastic job doing it. But I think for me, the Knicks need a second, another option for the center position. And I think we need a backup point guard position. And we need a shooting guard who can actually shoot the ball on a consistent basis, because they don't have that. Like,
Well, outside of Devo, like you don't see Devo as being a consistent shooter.
no, I do. I'm
Mhm.
saying because we don't have a bench. And I've been
Oh,
saying that at the
okay,
beginning of
gotcha.
this season, as far as the bench goes, like Randall and Brunson, I'm not saying sit both of them down, but if one of them is sitting on the bench and whoever's in the game on the floor playing with the bench unit, they need options. It can't be Randall or Brunson having to do all the work still with the second unit.
Right.
There's really no one else there who can take control, because Josh Hart is not going to really do it. He can run, but
Right.
he's not going to go after, like you asked earlier in the episode, of like OG going to take control and doing what he needs to. He'll do it because it's
Right.
really no other option. But that's the problem. We need guys who are ready to just be like, let me get the rock in my hand and let me go to work. And the Knicks have to bring in the essential pieces in order to be true contenders. And right now, we're just I think I heard Josh, Uncle Fulio, say this. He said the Knicks are just a mediocre team. I think they're a little better than mediocre now, but
Mhm.
I still think that the Knicks are not taken fully seriously by other teams in the league. And then those of us in the sports world and the content world, because we're like, you see the potential there, but they're missing pieces to bring them to that next level. And the playoffs is a whole different ball game, and the Knicks are not ready yet to be at that next level again. And I was just watching, and again, it was the Brooklyn Nets. And while I thought Randle and Brunson had solid games individually, I think the Knicks have been doing a better job playing as a team. And when they play as a team, they're a really good team. They can be a dangerous team. But I think they're missing those pieces to be like a better team as a whole.
But
So,
Lady Michelle, this is what I'm talking about. And this goes to Jerry Fitt's comment. I'll put it up again. Championship contention. We are only 7-17 against 500 teams or better.
right.
In the playoffs, all teams are 500 or better. So I think for me is I don't want to get lulled to sleep by the fact that we're playing really good right now and the chemistry is really good right now. And shout out to Josh, aka Uncle Fulio, who says statistically the Knicks starting lineup is the best in the league. Now I don't know if that's since OG came. I don't know what the time frame is, but they're
Right.
playing really well. But we're 7-17. Now some of that was prior to OG, coming. So we have to see what the record has been since OG has been here. It's probably better. Probably better. But I don't want to get lulled into sleep to think that we're there yet and we don't need another all-star level player. That all we have to do is get somebody for the bench and we're going to be fine. But championship contention, I'm not talking about having a good playoff series and taking the next step. But for
when I say the bench help, because there really is no stars really available right now. Really nobody really, when you think about it, star wise, that's available at this moment. So
but
what
I mean,
can
in
you
general,
do?
though,
Yeah.
no, not for right now. The question is just in general, do you think to be championship contenders, all we need to do is shore up the bench? Or do you
No.
believe? And it doesn't have to be a superstar. I don't know if the Knicks
No.
need a superstar
I don't think
type
that
player,
they,
but I do think you need like an all-star level type player.
like,
So that's my question. Not necessarily nobody's
Yeah.
available, but just in general.
Yeah, so definitely I think they can get another player, but again, there's nobody available, so maybe that buys us a little bit time to actually see this roster right now for what it is. I think with the CBA new rules and everybody, people are going to be left out and then be on the trading blocks and things of that nature. So we don't know exactly who it can be available. You hear Herb Jones might be, then he didn't, then he is, then he's not. So you don't know right now. And everybody can't pay everybody. So OKCs of the world and the Magics of the world who have the abundance of youthful talent, they can't pay all that talent. And eventually teams like the Knicks and things of that nature pick those players up. So
Well, who on those teams would help us though? Because they're pretty young themselves.
I'm just saying in general,
Okay.
like because the CBA rule,
Yes. Yes.
anybody can be available right now because they're
Right.
not going to be able to pay everybody. You have to pick and choose if you want to go into those the tax brackets, So
I
yeah, I think it depends. I'm glad we're able to get just a little look right now to see exactly what we need.
okay. Now, these same patient Knicks fans, if we get bounced in the first round or the second round, I don't want to hear y'all coming back talking about we should have went one step further with this team. I see this as a second round team that can get hot. Don't get me wrong, can get hot and go further. But I don't see us as better than Milwaukee and Boston, who we would meet in the second round if they don't get. You know what I mean? Anything can happen. Don't get me wrong. The Knicks can get hot. The shooting anything can get hot, and we can get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But these Knicks fans, if we lose in the second round, don't come in here talking about you disappointed. I don't want to hear it.
I will.
And Ebony, I'm gonna call you because you the main one want to stand pat.
No, I ain't saying really stand pat, but I don't want to make a move. It's like Russian roulette right now. I'm not trying to make moves just to make moves, and then I shoot myself. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I want to right now just see if we could get a Brogdon in here for Evan Fournier, then maybe okay, sure. But right now there's nobody available, but that might change during the off season. That's
No, I
all
agree. I agree with you, and I think that's something the Knicks are mulling over. I've read it. I know Barbie Marks talked about it in his video on ESPN. You guys can check it out. He does a trade special. I don't know if he did it for every team or if he did it just for the playoff teams, but he did one for the Knicks and it was pretty good. Shout out, coach. Um, and part of it was whatever the Knicks do now, they want to make sure they're still in the running in the offseason if a star shakes loose. And but this is my thing though. If a star shakes loose in the offseason, you're gonna have to give up Randle or Brunson. Because if a star shakes loose, who's headlining that trade? Grimes? Nah, no. So one of the reasons I want Murray, I don't really see him as a finishing. I like him, don't get me wrong. I see him as a flippable piece because right now we don't have anybody that can headline a trade. The issue with Murray for some teams might be he maybe they don't want him, depending on who the team is. And his contract is not bad. I mean, for somebody of his level, 4 years, 117 million, like that's pretty cheap for somebody of his level. But they may not want somebody, under contract. So it remains to be seen. But I don't want people in here. We lose in the second round and we just made a little bench upgrade.
Wait,
I'm opening the phone lines and I'd be ready for the smoke. Be
it's
ready
okay. I'm
for the
always
smoke.
with the smoke. I'm always with it, Queen. I'm with it. Now, but I just want to say real quick. I think that you know how Miami, we always look at their team and we're like, how the heck they're in the finals again, or Eastern Conference finals? You know, we always like that.
Mhm.
And I've come to the conclusion, well, it's because they focus primarily on the small things. You know, they're not beating themselves. They're not going to do that part, and they play
Mhm.
defense very well.
Mhm.
So when the court shrinks in the playoffs, will it matter if you have a lot of if you can't stop anybody? You know, that's what I'm thinking that the Knicks are banking on right now is that they can stop people and they can score. A lot of teams now can't do both. They can score, but they can't do the stopping. And that's why I'm not scared of Milwaukee, which is why when we talk about Milwaukee, I was always like, yeah, we're gonna win. Because I don't believe they can guard anybody right now. I think they gave up too much when they gave up Drew. That's somebody who was guarding 4 positions, and now you just have an offensive specialist in Dame. Because I don't know if you've seen them videos, his defensive efforts this year, Lord.
Right, right.
Lord, he
They
looked
got a
like
new
the New
coach
York
though, so
City
things may
turnstile.
change.
I was
Huh?
gonna say that.
They got a new coach, so things may
Yeah.
change. I felt pretty confident because they was going in with a rookie coach.
Yes.
That's listen. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the Knicks can't get hot and go all the way to the finals because things click. That's what happened with Miami. That's what happened a few years ago with Atlanta. So I'm not saying it can't um, happen. It definitely can. I would just like to be a good team on paper
Yeah.
so that I know we have the dogs year in and year out to be championship contenders, and it's not just about getting hot and getting on a roll. And I will say this about defense. In this NBA, you better be able to score the ball. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a trash like you rank 30th, like Indiana, or wherever they at right now. You got to be able to score the ball. Miami, everybody talks about Miami getting to the finals. Their defense was a factor, but what got them to the finals was all of a sudden they turned into a good shooting team. Whereas in the regular season, they were ranked in the bottom in field goal percentage. Soon as the playoffs started, it was like a light went off. They started hitting shots.
Mhm.
That's what got them there. And against the Knicks, who made it really tough for them, and they didn't shoot as well, they always got the timely basket.
Yeah.
always got the timely basket. So I feel great that the Knicks defense is top 10, the offense is top 10, but give me a top 5 offense and a 16th ranked defense anytime. Because the better your defense is, your offense is, your defense doesn't have to be as great.
Mhm.
You know, it doesn't have to be as great. So, but I'm happy that we're able to do both. You know,
Uh,
but you got to be able to put the ball in the basket in the playoffs.
Yeah.
and
you have
I'll
to.
And
take
to
my
be
I'll take
and
my chances with Brunson and Randle 1-on-1 though, if they could get those situations. No.
no, and that's where I was getting ready to say that's my issue. That was the issue we had with Randall. Randall was
Right.
exposed last year in the playoffs. He
Mm-hmm.
could not, and let me say it for the chat, but it come going, oh, his ankle, his ankle. This was before the ankle injury. Randall got exposed. Go back and watch the tapes, people. He could not get past his man one on one and get to that basket and create when the defense was turning up. Now, Cleveland couldn't really guard us, but when Miami, and to some degree, there was some possessions where with Cleveland, Randall struggled getting to the basket one on one. It wasn't that he wasn't getting the ball. He had, there was plenty of possessions for him to create for his own. And it wasn't even that necessarily Randall was off. He just didn't have any moves under his belt to get to the basket. And I was so shocked by that. I was like, wow, Randall is really struggling getting to the basket one on one.
Yeah.
And when you watch Brunson, I'll give you that. Like Brunson could get to the basket one on one, no problem. And he's
This
willing
is
to
why I
take
think we
that.
need somebody else
Right,
that can
exactly.
get
Who
their
can
own
get to
shot.
the hole? Right. I'll take Randall if you're going to shoot those perimeters or you're going to do that hezzy on the sideline and shoot that really tough fadeaway shot that he does. Randall, I'll take that. But also the problem is when Randall does get past his man, and again, Chad, this is not me picking on Randall. I'm not going down that road. I'm just trying to reiterate what she was saying in the playoff season. But the problem is sometimes when he does drive to the basket, he turns it over.
Yeah.
And it's a silly turnover. I dribbled it off my knee, it went off my ankle, or I just had butterfingers and it slipped out of my hands. And you can't like things like that, they gotta get tightened up in the postseason.
Yeah.
Those little silly turnovers, they can't happen. And honestly, that's one of the problems I'm noticing where the Knicks are improving in a lot of areas. The turnovers is off the charts. It's a hot mess. 21, 23. It's too many turnovers a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not. That's not going to be sustainable in the playoffs.
Can
Yeah.
I answer real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, when I'm saying on one, like Julius, the problem with Julius was that that I had with Julius is that I thought he wanted to be a small forward. I felt he was trying to be a small forward last year, more so taking a lot of threes, trying to dribble from the 3-point line, things of that nature. And I've always said if he just used his strength, I don't believe as many people who could stop him. And
Agreed.
we're seeing that now. He's playing the bully ball. I actually called it one time. He did the move he's doing countlessly right now against Giannis. And I said, please put that in your bag and don't ever let it go because he did it so ever, and Giannis couldn't stop it. So if Giannis can't stop it, you get what I'm saying? Who else? The average defender shouldn't have a problem. So with him playing bully ball, he's using his strength and he's starting at the free throw line. He's starting, at these. He's setting picks and rolling with Brunson. It's a little bit more off movement in the offense right now. Also, it's not so
Mhm.
much standing still. So when I mean the 1-on-1, I'm not necessarily saying breaking down all throughout the, breaking down from the top of the key, but just him posting it up and be able to draw that attention. And granted, he is turning the ball over, and you can see that drives me crazy too about with the turnovers and his decision making. Like Clyde said, he giveth and he taketh away. Um, so I understand where you're coming from with that. We see eye to eye with the Randall situation, but him making the mistakes now hopefully will help him and for the playoffs. And again, taking more pressure off of him hopefully will help him in the playoffs. He can concentrate on being Randall. He has iHeart and OG to help him on the defensive end to take the pressure off that end. So that's what I'm saying. It's just it's kind of a different feel, and I'm excited to see what he does. I don't know. I stopped trying to predict with Randle.
Mhm.
I work even kill. It works out for me, so I'm not surprised. It's just like, okay, it happened.
Well, see, I think what happens and what helps is the spacing. The
Yes.
spacing because we got shooters in Devo and OG, and also the spacing because we have Hartenstein and we don't have Mitch's man stuck right there in the key. Like you have to guard Hartenstein. I mean, he's not going to take you out to the 3-point line, but
Mhm.
wherever he is, you need to be with him because not only the little push floater, but more so the backdoor passes and the things of that sort. You want to be up on him to try to disrupt that. And so there's times when I look in the key, if you just focus on the keys, like, wow, if you couldn't see anything else, you would think the game didn't even start yet. That's how open that key is. And that helps Randle and that helps Brunson. So I'm interested to see Randle in the playoffs too, because this is the thing with bully ball in the playoffs. Now you're operating in a smaller space and it's easy for teams to crowd you. So I like what Julius Caesar is saying is that he's skilled enough to play both physically and with finesse to be able to pick his spots. Because just think if Embiid only played down low, you can neutralize him. You
Mhm.
can neutralize him with double teams because you got him limited to just one space. That's what I like about Randle, and hopefully he'll be able to read this. When do I play bully ball? And when all right, they trying to send a double team, they trying to crowd me. I'll just stand right here, foul line extended, and hit my and hit the jumper. Whichever way you want it, I got it.
I
That's
like
what
that.
I'm hoping. He'll be able to read the defense and see what the defense is giving him in the
Yeah.
playoffs.
I like that he kind of took RJ's advice. You had the advice to RJ that he lost his mind at the end of his Knick career. He forgot all about just take 5 3-pointers. At the end of his Knick career, he started losing his mind. But I like that Randle Randle took your advice. He's taking that advice. He's limiting his 3-point
Right.
and being very taking very good ones when he does take them. It's like he has to be wide open. And he doesn't take many. So I
Yeah.
like that he's mixing it up, and it's 3 level scoring Randle. So yes,
Yeah. Yeah. I disagree. Keith Turner, shout out. I appreciate you. The Knicks run a morning offense. This is what kills me. What's so different about the? I mean, all right, maybe we run in a little different actions, but to me, the offense runs smoother depending on the players you have. You got Mitchell Robinson, you got RJ Barrett, you got players who don't shoot the ball very well, don't really have much of an offensive skill set. Your offense is going to look a certain way. You bring in DiVincenzo, who can hit the three, space, and also put the ball on the floor. You bring in OG. You got iHeart. Your offense is gonna look different. So to me, we got the same offense and the same coach. We just have better players running it, so it looks different. And I'm not gonna. He may have put some, few different actions in. I'm not saying that he didn't. But the thing about it, when you have high IQ players, you can run a read and react offense. You can start with a pick and roll and go right into motion because they're reading. They're overplaying me. I'm gonna go back door. Oh, you're gonna give me this three? I'm gonna take it. You know what I mean? When you got high IQ players, your offense is going to look and skilled. High IQ and skill. Your offense is gonna look better because you got players that know what they're doing. They know how to play off of other people. So I disagree. The Knicks have had a top 10 offense for the past 2 years. Not a conventional top 10. We used offensive rebounding and we used field goal rate and 3-point, not a conventional, but Tibbs was able to figure it out with this team. This is what we're going to need to do to be a top 10 um, offense. So we'll see how they work because the defense is looking. They're a joy to watch to me. The offense, I mean, defense too. but the offense looks good to me with the players that we have now. Any thoughts on that?
I think for me, I think it just like how you were just saying, Juju Caesar said in his comment. I think it's the decision making that is going to make the difference in the playoffs. Like the passes, the timing. I think also just guys should know each other well enough so in the playoffs you are ready to take it to that next level. If you know Hartenstein is going to stand at that free throw line, cut to the basket. Don't stand around waiting on the perimeter, looking around or waiting for the ball to come to you, or waiting around and watching Brunson or Randle go to work. Cut to the basket, because guess what? That's the easy 2 points we just had. Or get fouled trying. And Hartenstein could make the pass. So a lot of times, if you really watch, Hartenstein is trying not to be so Captain Obvious, and he has to like head nudge himself to let guys know to cut to the basket. Like at this point in the season, I really don't want to have to see him do that anymore. Like y'all should know to go to the basket. If your Deuce, Grimes, Hart, cut to the basket. What are you waiting for? You know what I mean? Like I think guys have to get into the motion now to continue to move. And when they do that, the Knicks play a lot better because it's coming. The game comes easier to them. But I want to see those things carry over into the postseason. And I think the decision making is going to be so crucial for the Knicks because when the Knicks are turned on, like their game is turned all the way on, they're great. You know what I mean? But I think when it comes to those games in the playoffs where it's a matter of can you beat the teams the best out of whatever it is, 5 or 7,
Mhm.
like can you like withstand that series and beat that team and knock them out? And the decision making is really what's going to also help, not just the offense and the defense, but it's the decision making on the offense and defense that's going to be able to help those guys get past that series. And you that's what's going to be needed, and that's what I'm going to be looking forward to also is like, you know we have guys who have the basketball IQ, but it's the decision making at the same time, the kind
Right,
of passes that you're making. Like, was that a smart pass? This is the
right.
playoffs, don't do that. So that
Yeah,
I think that's going to be a huge factor for them in the postseason for sure.
yeah, yeah. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
We have 103 in the chat. We have 73 likes. So if you haven't hit the like button, please do so. It definitely helps the algorithm. It helps the show. When you go to YouTube and you see recommendations, it's the same thing. The more you hit the like show, the more they'll recommend it to others. So help us out and hit the like button.
Hit that like.
Um, all right. So I wanted to talk about Hartenstein and then Mitch. I think, Lady in the Shelf, you hit it on the head earlier when you talked about um, Mitch coming back and how many minutes would he be able to give us. You also talked about the money situation, and I think, like you said, I brought this up on another show, but I got this from I think it was the Barbie Marks um, video
Mhm.
that in a perfect world, the Knicks signed both Mitch and Hartenstein in a perfect world. I'm not sure how possible that is. So I'm going to ask this question:
And that's a
Are
Mitch's
you are,
attorney.
are you willing to sign both centers if that means there's another part of the roster you can't fill out? Because choices are going to have to be made
Hmm.
at some point, right?
Hmm.
Let's just say I think the max the Knicks can pay um, Hartenstein is I think 13 point something. However, they can also include easily attainable um what do you call those? Bonuses, easily attainable bonuses that can push it up to I think 16. I don't think he's getting that much from anybody. I just don't think the center position is valued like that unless you're talking about the Joker Embiid. But would you be willing to sign both of them if that meant there was something we couldn't do elsewhere on the roster? Ed, we'll start with you.
Um, I was hoping, I spoke about this before. I thought about, how much Rudy Gobert gets paid a year, about 30 million, right? Something like that. And if we're able to sign iHeart to like the around a Mitch deal, and that's about $30 million a year for two Rudy Gobert type players, people who put in an impact, so
Mhm.
if we wouldn't be able to, I don't. That's tough. That's a tough question
No,
because
no,
you
no.
already
I'm just saying, would you do it if that meant that a
we
less of
could
a
make
bench
another move.
player? Yeah, I don't know about like not make any moves, but it would have to be like a lesser, you
Mhm.
know, a
Yeah,
lesser
I would.
move.
I would do it then.
You
If
would
we
do it.
still, if it's still possibility, then we still have a possibility to even move one of them because they are two people that people will be intrigued with. So
Okay.
that could be something else used. Again, that CBA rule. I don't know what CJ McCullough was thinking about,
Yeah,
but
because I think under the new CBA, Rudy Gobert, they wish they can do something else with that contract. That contract was signed before this new
Mhm.
CBA. And this is the reason why, if they lose in the first round, Towns may shake loose because they're going to be at the second apron. And and so when you're at the second apron, you can't really it's hard to make improvements to your team.
Mhm.
But if you have a championship contending team and you locked into it, so what? But if you lose in the first round and you don't have it and you feel you don't have a championship, then you might want to not lock yourself in. So that's why a cat may shake loose. I'm not saying we should go after him or nothing. I'm just, pointing it out. But Lady in the Show, and I'll ask the other question if we had to choose between. We'll ask that next. But if signing both of them meant that there's something we couldn't do for the rest of the roster, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that we should keep them just because they both fit into the offense and defense respectively within their roles. And I think that they fit into Tip's system, and I think they both can be able to come in and play for one another when the other guy's on the bench.
For sure.
So they both bring that defensive threat presence. And, we've seen when in the early part of the season when Mitch wasn't in games and we missed that presence. And then when Hartenstein was just out yesterday, that defensive presence from the big man, it was missing, and I'm sure Hartenstein would have had a nice block party yesterday in Brooklyn. And just grabbing the rebounds. He does a great job on the boards and he's so aggressive with the rebounds. And just his passing is like another, makes him another threat. But I know earlier you were saying you don't think that he should get 25. I
I don't
think
think
in
he
order.
will. I don't think he will. I don't think that's the market for a center.
Mhm. I think
And
I
yeah,
think even for him to get a lot of money or close to it, even if it was 17, 18, I feel like if he would be worth that if Hartenstein was occasionally shooting the three. He was occasionally giving you the mid-range jumper by the free throw line. You
mhm.
know what I mean? Or the side shot. I think if he was doing that and the floater more, then I would totally be like, yeah, okay. He's a little bit more of an offensive threat as well. But for now, no. I mean, maybe if he can add that to his game as he once did do, then yeah, sure. But I think that if the Knicks didn't have any other options and there was no other centers available or true, superstar centers, not superstars, but better centers in the league, then yeah, I say the Knicks would, to me, I would be okay with them keeping both Mitch and Hartenstein.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to keep both of them, but not to me, not at the expense of updating our bench and not at the expense of using some of that money to put toward an all-star type player.
Mhm.
I just think that in this league, you don't really need two starting level centers. Like nobody else has that. They have their main center, and then they got a $3 million, $4 million, $5 million backup center, and they're using that money for something else. Now, if it didn't impact the rest of our roster and what we were able to do, hell yeah, I would sign both of them. But if it's going to impact what we can do elsewhere on our roster, the Knicks have to choose,
Yeah.
because we need a lot. We need a backup point guard. We need a backup shooting guard. We need a third score. Like, and I don't know if it makes good financial sense to have 30 or 35 million in a position that's like the running back position in football. It's just not that position anymore. But we'll have the luxury, at least of this season, of having that in the playoffs if Mitch makes it back. But again, I just want to make myself clear. If it doesn't impact the rest of the roster, by all means, sign both of them because of Mitch's injury history. Like, you just don't know. You can't have your season riding on that. The next question, which is a harder question, is if the Knicks can only bring back one, and maybe had to either not sign Hartenstein or trade Mitch, what would your thoughts be if it got to that?
You already know. You already know who I'm going with. I'm not going to question Mitch and his skill set, because he put the league on notice when he was playing. And I know people question who should start and things of that nature. And right now, I think that of course it has to be iHeart. He's coming back. Mitch has to come off the bench. You got to work your way back into things of that nature. So it wouldn't be a conversation about who starts right now. I think that I didn't question who was starting when he was healthy before, and I'm not going to do it now. I would allow him to. And people says, well, iHeart does this and this better, but this is not technically the way we were playing at all. Remember, Tibbs had just said that he would try our iHeart more in the playmaking role just recently. So I need to see. I have to see. And I pick Mitch. He's a better defender. Remember what our defense looked before OG. When there was no
OG
OG.
is here now, though.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying, before no OG, the
Yeah,
defense
yeah.
couldn't stand by itself. You get what I'm saying? When Mitch was there, it didn't matter. We didn't have an OG, and the defense was still standing on
It was
itself.
but no, it was slipping. It was slipping even when Mitch was there. It's just that we kept looking at the overall defensive rating. But if you broke the defensive rating down to like 3 games and 5 games before Mitch left, it was slipping. But I get your point. I'm not going to argue with you about Mitch and what he does defensively. No doubt
Yeah.
about it.
So, but I just would like to see what the defense would look like with a Mitch on the perimeter. With an OG and Mitch. What does OG look like with Mitch behind him? So as another person where you setting people up, they probably be playing with defenses. Let me run them to Mitch real quick. Who knows? Things of that nature. I would like to see. I rather. And iHeart again, like you mentioned, if he was what they said he was with the jump shot, then okay, I would say maybe that would be the better option, because you could get both, do a little bit. He might not play defense on Mitch's level, but he can hit the jump shot. So, but he hasn't shown that the floater is about it, right now. So I would go Mitch. I
Okay.
would go Mitch. He had Miami scheming for him. I don't think iHeart
And they
gets
did a
that.
good job.
Yes, they
Uh,
did.
Lady in the shop.
Yeah, I'm totally opposite from Ed. I'm totally keeping Isaiah Hartenstein. I just think that he may not do exactly all the things that Mitchell Robinson does defensively, but since Mitch has been out, the offense has spaced out on the floor more, so it's better spacing on the floor. The ball is moving better, just because, like you alluded to earlier, he's not just camped out in the paint and sitting under the basket waiting to do his thing rebounding wise or for a lob. So I think that with him out on the floor, there's been changes. And I think that, I think OG has made a contribution towards this and the change, but I think that we were noticing it well before even Hartenstein was in. But I think it enhanced and gotten better when Hartenstein got out there, and then you added OG to the picture. But I like that Hartenstein, he's proven that he can, guard the paint. He can, I mean, Rudy Gobert's making all that money and he couldn't even get a shot up against Hartenstein. Hartenstein could give you the rebounding that you need. He has the energy, his conditioning is there. And I just like what I see offensively from the Knicks with him out on the floor. And yeah, I think, when Mitch comes back, we can see what he does, how he plays with OG. But for me, I think Mitch is just so limited to what he can do on the floor besides defense and being an offensive rebounding threat for us. And his game is in a box, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying Mitch needs to be like an Embiid or Porzingis, and be one of those guys, but I think even if he had one or two go-to moves that he can do with confidence that can make him an offensive threat or go to at times that we can dump the ball down to him. But Mitch can't even do that, So I think that, I think also just his awareness when he's on the floor, as far as not defensively, offensively. Defensively, his awareness, his hands are in motion, his feet is moving, he has quick hands. But I think on the offensive end, Mitch a lot of times is in the way. I think he's in the right place at sometimes because he's there to get that ball back in. But a lot of times he's making his man, that defender, is in the way, and now it's clogging up the paint and that spacing isn't there. And then because Mitch doesn't feel comfortable getting that ball or even just putting it down for a dribble, it's almost like he's afraid he's gonna travel, if he tries to make a move. So there is a lot of differences that you see. Again, I'm taking nothing away from Mitch. I like what he does do for the team, but I just don't think that I would keep him. Move if we have to make that decision. I would totally rock with Hartenstein, and then try to bring in someone who's either better than Hartenstein or be a backup to that center position.
Can I say something to push back on the
Sure.
Mitch? One, I was saying because Mitch hasn't played with the team, so we don't know what the spacing looks like. Because again, RJ was playing in that same position. He wasn't, that same clouded. So again, with the shooters, is different spaces. They're making a constant effort right now to hit cutters. They weren't doing that when Mitch was playing. We were actually talking about, well, we wish that Brunson would lob it up more and things of that nature. He does move without the ball. He's not always in the dunker spot because he's always setting picks, trying to keep the defense from just setting in the paint. Mitch also runs the floor. They're doing a running pace. Now you have a big that will run the floor. So what does that look like also? Mitch has also put the ball on the floor countless times this season, more than we've seen in recent memory, actually. He had to cross up the tween and then somebody ain't mind his business and poke the ball away from him. Y'all remember that? I think that was against Charlotte. So like again, we don't know what he does, what he can do, because again, we didn't know what Ihart could do. Thibodeau just allowed him to do it. So we don't know what Mitchell Robinson's passing ability is, because when he does get offensive rebound, he was getting people open shots. He was hitting the open man. Whether they hit that open shot or not is the question, but he was getting them wide open shots. That's when the offensive rebounder was a part of our offense, because he was helping get wide open shots off of his rebounding. So like I have to see it. I can't just say that Ihart is better, because he's not shooting. He's not pulling the defense out anymore than anything else. He's moving the ball. He's not shooting eye out where they have to guard him. Oh no, Ihart's out there. You get what I'm saying? I don't know what Mitch looks like in space. That's all. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good
I
point.
hear you, Ebony, but I'm with Lady and the Chef on this, and I've talked about this. Um, I don't know, 4 weeks now. Um, I know enough about Mitchell Robinson's game to know that. Anyway, I'm not going to even focus on Mitchell Robinson. To me, it's not even about Mitchell Robinson or iHeart per se. It's more about how the team is both offensively and defensively with those guys. And because our perimeter defense has been shored up a little bit, we're number one in defense with right now since the OG trade. So with Mitchell Robinson, we're gonna be what, 1+? You know what I mean? I just feel like when you have good perimeter defenders, you don't need elite rim protection. And listen, if he is an elite rim protection and it's not costing us, then okay, then we just double down on defense. But if it's costing us something else, in terms of what we can do with our roster, then I don't feel a need to double down.
Yeah.
If we're already number one and we
That-
got OG, and let me finish.
No, go ahead.
And we got so I feel like, and we said this before, that we needed Mitchell Robinson because we had poor perimeter defenders, and that Mitchell Robinson was the best center for that particular team the way it was constructed. But once you shored up your perimeter defense, I don't think you need an elite, again, rim protection. Look at the other teams. The other teams don't have a Mitch, and they're making it happen. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying it's possible. The second
I see Mitches in all sizes, to be honest, though. They do.
Okay. Let me finish. But also, it's also the net between the offense and defense. I think Hartenstein is a better defensive rebounder than Mitchell Robinson. He's not as good an offensive rebounder as Mitchell Robinson. I think Mitchell Robinson averaged 6. He's like 4 point something. So he still gives us second chance opportunities. I think the Knicks, since Mitch has been gone, our second chance points has gone down by like 1 point. The last time I checked, which is probably like a week and a half ago. So there's certain things we were doing with Mitch as far as rebounding and offensive rebounding, we've still been able to do without him. Now, as an interior defender, he's a notch below Mitch. But as a team, we're better. Now, you take also what's going on the offensive end, and I agree. He's not like somebody hitting a mid-range jumper. He's not somebody hitting a three-point jumper, but he's a threat. And so everybody on the Knicks offensively have to be accounted for. You can't leave anybody. And he moves the offense along. Even when he doesn't shoot himself, he finds the cutter. He finds somebody open on the three-point line. He moves the defense along. So our defense, if you've noticed, has a better flow with Devo in there, OG in there, and iHeart in there. It just has a better flow. So for me, for my money, if we had to choose, I think our defense still stays the way it is. For me, I feel like it's just a no-brainer because our defense is good and our offense has been better. And I'll go one step further. I think if the Knicks let iHeart get out the door, they will rue the day because it's very hard to find a center that fits so perfectly with your offense, and you're still getting defense and you're still getting rebounding. That's where I'm at. I don't unless Mitchell Robinson comes back with that offensive awareness. I don't see our offense moving the way it's moving now.
I can't say that because I never seen it. I'm not. That's all I'm saying.
You can extrapolate by looking at somebody's skill set. I agree with you. We'll get more offensive rebounds. He does run the floor. I agree with that. But I'm talking about the way this offense moves and passes the ball and how you could cut off. I haven't seen anything in Mitchell Robinson's offensive awareness that would where I think that he would be able to hit a cutter. First of all, you're not going to even be able to cut because his man is right there in the key.
And nor can
we'll see. I think when you say these things, it sounds like you're a Mitch hater and that you don't appreciate what he does do. I do. I just think from a team perspective, we've been better defensively and offensively since OG's come to the team. And OG has helped Hartenstein, no doubt about it.
And also one thing, Mitch is just he's a defensive player, not just a rim protector. Because this season I seen him locking up on the perimeter more than I've seen. I seen him lock up Kawhi on the perimeter and Giannis. Uh, Definitely. So it's not just the rim protection. He's just a defensive superstar. That's
I
what he
get you.
is.
But the point becomes, do you need that at the expense of your offense?
When in a tip system, I think you do.
We're doing okay without it, though.
I get it because we have to. You understand? But again, you got to remember who your coach is. So that's
If you ask me, Tibbs would like to see some more um, some more offense. Um, our defense is good enough now. We got a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm not a Mitch hater, Sherwin. Just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I'm hating. And the fact that you're just Mitch, no matter what, I could say that you're delusional. You know what I mean? Because you don't see both sides. So I'm not a Mitch hater. I understand what he brings on the defensive end. I just think we've been a better team both offensively and defensively um, with Hartenstein. And that's just, I mean, I respect everybody's opinion. I respect Ebony's opinion. I respect Sherwin's opinion. Everybody who feels Mitch is the choice. I respect it. I just have a different opinion. That's all. That's
that's
all.
okay.
Yeah, it's definitely okay. All right, before we get out of here, let's just go through some players that's been mentioned for the Knicks. I just want to get your yeah, Corey Lee. I get it. Just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I don't get it. I get it. We can all disagree. I'm not sitting here telling you guys that y'all don't get it because y'all don't agree with me on Hartenstein. We just have different opinion. Relax, fam. We good. Everybody's good. All right. These are some names that's been mentioned for the Knicks. I just want to get your opinion. If you think they would be a good fit or help for the Knicks. Um, D'Angelo Russell is the newest one. I'm not sure how true this is. I'm not sure how much the Knicks are interested in him, but I think this was put out there as part of a three-team trade. If DeJounte Murray went to the Lakers. Yeah. Just your thoughts on D'Angelo Russell?
For me, he's a fit. We need somebody who can handle the ball, who can be a solid backup point guard for the team. And I like what he does, you know, Lakers and previous teams he's been on. He can also shoot the ball. I like the control he has with the ball. I feel like the decision making to be there.
Mhm.
But I would like somebody like him. I think he's a fit because Brunson could sit down, get a breather, come back in, take him out. I also think that he'll be great for the second unit, for the guys on the bench. And that's what the Knicks need. Someone who we can feel comfortable, who's going to bring that ball up the court and not all the time where it's Brunson, having to bring the ball up. So, and I also think, with the players you're going to be mentioning, I want to have guys who are interested in actually coming to New York as well, because I think that's important. I think with the way the Knicks are now, guys are interested to play with Brunson and Randle. But for me, he's a fit.
Okay. All right. Any concerns about his defense?
Yeah, but I think, if you play alongside guys who's out there playing great defense, a Hartenstein, a Mitch, a OG,
Right.
and then I think that's where the leadership comes in place, where guys like Randall and Brunson got to call you out. If the agenda and the goal is to get further and become contenders, that's their job to go and be like, we need you to step up. You got to go after those, and I think that sometimes his defense can be a little lackadaisical, but I have seen where he fights over screens. He's able to, keep up with guys. He has pretty active hands where he's able to get those steals from guys or swat the ball away. But, I mean, sometimes, with Brunson, his defense isn't always the greatest. but he's willing to sacrifice his body and he hustles. He does those hustle plays where even if he's getting outbeat, he's willing to run to the other end of the floor. So I don't know. I think D'Lo, nonetheless, I think for true ball handling skills, I think that he'll be a fit.
Okay. Eb?
I don't know. I think earlier in the season, isn't he been like a little bit up and down?
He's
We
more
talk.
up now.
No,
But
yeah,
yes.
now they talking about maybe keeping him for the moment, right? But I follow a couple of Laker fans and they were going through it with D'Angelo Russell. So
He would be in a
again,
different role with us though,
yeah,
right?
yeah, but we talk about consistency.
Mhm.
That's the main thing, and consistency with defense. And one of the things with the Terry Rozier trade to Miami is they added somebody else. They have to disguise on defense. Like you have the defenders, you get the defenders, but now you're adding more people that they have to help. You're adding more of a load or for them to disguise
Mhm.
more players. So that's my thing with the Knicks. I don't want to keep adding just offensive pieces, and then we have to disguise more people to help and disguise on that end. So I would rather a more of a 3 and D kind, not 3 and D, but that's somebody who can still be effective on that end also. So
Yeah.
he would fit as a spark offensively off the
Mhm.
bench,
Mhm.
but I don't know about the other end of the
Yeah.
equation.
Yeah. I do think though. So I'm okay with D'Lo. I could take him or leave him. I like his size. I like his that he could play next to Brunson and he can play behind Brunson, in those non-Brunson minutes. And he's used to, like somebody said, he's used to playing in the New York market. He's
Mhm.
played in LA. The lights are not going to be too bright for him playing in in New York. So I'm down with D'Lo, but I agree that defensively it's going to be an issue. But I also say on defense, dude, just get to your spots. Get to your spots. If you're not going to be a great individual defender, be a great team defender and get to your spots. Can you do that? So I think, as long as you're not playing him and Brunson a lot of minutes together, I think you can get away with it. I always think like how do Miami get away with the Duncan Robinson minutes? You know what I mean? Like, figure it out.
For a minute they didn't. They sat him.
Yeah, they
you know.
did. They did. But then
Yeah,
once, yeah, but he's
they
back in
came
he's
back with
back
a
in the
vengeance.
rotation. Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt about it. So I would be okay with it. I'm not banging the table for D'Lo, but I like the fact that he can hit the three too. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
Yeah.
and I think somebody checked this. I think he has an aspiring contract after next year or something like that. I don't think the Knicks want long-term contracts. All right.
I'll look it up for you.
Somebody mentioned Lowry. I'm out as far as Lowry is concerned because of the injury history and how old he is. I'm not sure how many minutes he'll be able to give us. If this was 4 years ago, I would be
Yeah.
yes, but I'm out for Lowry. But your thoughts?
I'm
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
I'm out too. Yeah. I don't know. He's also like the pace for me. The pace is a huge concern. Like it's very snail like, and
Hmm.
it's very like I'm at a pickup game at the gym with the old. I don't want to see that on. That's gonna drive me nuts. Like watching him move at his pace that he moves, and
Right.
at times he can be like. Someone in one of the chats I think on Sim and Tony was on. They call Grimes Happy Feet, and they call Randle Mahomes because of his bullet passes that he throws. That's the
Mhm.
chat is hilarious, but I think Laurie just I don't see it being a fit here. It's
No.
just not for this team.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not even for the second unit.
Well, I
Mhm.
think it would be a fit if he was younger. I mean, he's a
Yeah.
dog. Yeah, yeah. He's a dog. And even in the playoffs last season, he played well.
He
He
did.
played well for them because in the playoff things slow down a little bit. So he played well for them. But he's 1 year older. Listen, if the Knicks got him on the buyout market, I wouldn't be mad. If
Right.
they didn't give up any assets and they got him on the buyout market, because he can give you a few minutes in the playoffs. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? He can give you a few minutes. I mean, I think he can give you 10 minutes behind Brunson. You know what I mean? But I'm
That'd
not
probably
giving
be
up
the
assets.
that'd probably be the only way I'm with it too,
Yeah.
Queen. Definitely.
Yeah.
If it's a buyout market, because other than that, I'm like Kanye. I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I'm good. Joe Curry, I appreciate you. I honestly would take Lowry if he's released. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's yeah. And Keith Turner said, but we need vets, so I'm not against Lowry. I do think you need vets going into the playoffs. But I'm not. He has to be bought out. But that's a very good point, though. Having somebody like Lowry in your locker room come playoff times who's tested. I believe he was on that championship team with Toronto. But other than him being released or a second round pick, because we got about 2,050 of them, I'm not giving up much for Lowry. What
Yeah,
about Jordan Clarkson? Now, would Jordan Clarkson be a fit issue for you or a price issue for you?
I think it would more so be a price issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
His contract kind of expensive, and again, he's a spark. He's a bucket, definitely a bucket. But he gives you effort on that other end. He'll try, but I don't know
Right.
about him on that end either. And then his contract is huge again.
How many
So
years does he have left? Because that makes a difference too. If he only has like 1 year left, um,
I think
you
he
know,
had two. If I remember from the prior conversation,
uh-huh. He has
it
like
was.
2 years
Let me
fully
see.
guaranteed.
They said he signed. Yeah, 4 year, 51 mil.
Oh, but that's all?
They said in 2000, yeah, in 2023 he would earn a base salary of 23 million while
Oh.
carrying a cap hit of 23 million too. Yeah, so 23 million he gets paid this year.
Oh, I thought you said 4 years, 51
Yeah,
million.
that's the total amount. This year he gets paid. Yeah, 4 years.
Okay.
When did he sign this? Let me see.
So he's on a descending
Oh
contract.
yeah, no, this is it. He's expiring. He's expiring. This is his last year.
So I would, yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know it was expiring.
yeah. Because the thing with Clarkson is he would be unrestricted. The Knicks can decide to sign him, or if they did trade for somebody, he's a piece that I think somebody would want. I don't know if he can headline. He can't headline a trade for a star, but I think I
On the
think teams
defense.
would want him.
Yeah,
Want him. Um,
definitely.
the other thing I want to ask is, what's your thoughts on someone who doesn't play, is not known to play defense, but has the defensive tools? Do you think if they, came to the Knicks who are defensive minded, that would change, or do you feel like, nah, not really?
I think it depends. Um, it depends on the possessions, the games, the teams. Go back to what I was just saying with the leadership, calling players out who's defensive minded, and other players see that,
Mm-hmm.
and them just saying like, and coaching too. I think Tibbs calling guys out like, we need you to play defense. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's plays that's, players slip right past you, and you could have put a little bit more effort into that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think, but if you have a guy who's a walking bucket, I think to some on a consistent basis, I think to some degree you could kind of let it go,
Mm-hmm.
because you have the other guys who can fill in on a defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just depends, but preferably I would like somebody who is not just defensive minded, but actually plays defense,
Mm-hmm.
but can shoot the ball, because that's another thing. Like the Knicks have been shooting, knocking down the ball this season, but in the postseason, if they go cold, or one guy is cold, you need another option, and I just think
Mm-hmm.
that I think having three, four options, I think you need at least two other guys for sure, especially for the second unit, because there's no backup scoring.
Yeah.
When you look at like when the Knicks, you look at the starting five there and you're like, well, and then you look at the bench and you're like, there's no one there. So I think I preferably for me, I'm all for the defensive minded, but I need someone who's going to play some defense too.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead.
I definitely agree. You have to be able to impact the ball on the other end. Again, because then if not, we're gonna have to disguise your help. We have to another person. We have to make sure we helping out on, and we already have to do that with a couple of people already. That adds to it. It kind of takes away from having OG now, because again, you're gonna have like kind of situation where we had with Mitch, and allowing or having to erase the mistakes of others on defense. So I would rather them have some like Lady and Chef said, somebody with some kind of defensive presence, like that plays defense, and can they have to be able to shoot, be efficient, do when you get the ball, impact the game in a positive way. That's what that's what we need. Somebody to get you a bucket when they can, and you don't have to be a Deuce McBride type of player, but don't be a cone either. Give effort. Make sure you playing good disciplined defense, things of that nature. Help make sure you're in the right positions of help for your teammates. Stuff of that. I have two people that I guess I'll be pretty cool with if they made the move right now. Not an all-star move, but a move. I don't know if I could you want me
Yeah,
to tell
you can. You can.
It's Herb Jones and Brogdon, because we wouldn't have to give up much, and they're looking for expiring contract. Portland is also to take an expiring contract.
Right.
So, and that's somebody who can play defense, and he can get you a bucket. He won the Sixth Man of the Year last year. So, if
I
you're
don't know if
trying
I
to,
would say he could get you a bucket. I think he's more of a
well,
defensive player than an
no,
offensive.
he just have like 30 the day when him and DeJounte having 30-point battles. DeJounte had one, then Brogdon had one the
Listen.
same day.
Any player can pop off. You know what I mean? But that's different than being a bucket. But I like Herb Jones. I don't think Herb Jones though is a priority for us. He's like a 4, right? I don't think he's a priority for us. I think we need a 1 or 2, a backup center. But I like Herb Jones. When I thought, yeah, I just don't think he's a priority for this team. But I will say this, and I think somebody else mentioned it in the chat. True 3-and-D players are really hard to find. Like you look around the league, how many players that's going to lock down on defense and be able to score? Like those players are rare. So I agree. Be able to shoot, contribute on the offense, and play some type. Don't be a cone, as somebody said in the chat. Like don't be a cone. But I'm not sure we're going to find like a lockdown defender that's also a bucket. Like I think that's a lot.
Yeah, I'm not saying it got to be like the best extremes, but just to be able, you need a fundamentally sound player.
Yes.
Like that's basically it. Just somebody that you don't have to do everything great, but you do things well. You do things good. That's what I mean. When I always tell you don't need a bunch of stars, but you need a bunch of players that star in their role.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
I mean, we need a star too, but they're not available. But I hear what
they're
you're
not. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
They're
they're
not
not
available.
available.
We gotta go work what we got. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with Herb Jones. I wanted Herb Jones when they terminated his contract, but they did that just to re-sign him. But I don't know. I just don't see him.
Yeah, me neither.
As a priority position for us, but I'm not mad if they bring in him. Brogdon, to me, I forgot this. Tony reminded me that I liked Brogdon. I don't even remember. I know my condition. This was years ago. But now I don't know. He just seems so old and broke down. And I know he's just 31. Is he still the same defensive player he was before? He was Sixth Man of the Year. Again, I'm not mad if the Knicks bring in Brogdon, but I can't say I'm pounding the table for Brogdon. But I'm not mad if they bring Brogdon in. Your thoughts on Brogdon, Lady in the Shot?
I like him. I just wonder. I think his name has been in the mix for trades, but I'm like, you haven't really heard anything from him per se, or I'm like, does he really want to come to the Knicks? But I think he would be a great addition on the bench for prime shooting, which is what the Knicks need. Like someone who can get us points. You can come in, give us a quick, 7, 8 points that are gonna be needed, to be honest, and then you could take, you'll get fed the ball. I think he can give us what um at times and some nights we look for from Grimes. So, but on a more consistent basis because
Yeah.
that
Yep.
veteran experience is there from him.
Mm-hmm.
And we know what he can do as far as knocking down shots.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like him in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But again, he's another one that I'm kind of like, I just feel like there's this big mystery. Like I was telling Steph before we came on live, I was like, I can't wait for this trade deadline to be over because every day we're literally talking about who the Knicks potential trade prospects are. And the Knicks like to shop, they like to coupon shop. So they want to use that 40% CVS coupon and get guys at the lowest contract possible and want these great players. But the problem that scares me with that is that, like, are the Knicks going to wait to the last minute to go after any one of these guys, whether it's Murray or if it's, like, and I look at like how Indiana swiped up and got Spicy P. And then Miami went and got Terry Rozier, who Rozier was actually in the mix of as one of these guys that we're talking about,
And they got him for cheap.
yeah, yeah,
You know.
yeah. So but I like Brogdon, who I think he would be great for the second unit to add to that scoring that the Knicks lack right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I normally say put the Legos down. That's my saying. When it comes to injury riddled people, I tell put the Legos down, put the Lego men down, right? But Brogdon has been fairly healthy
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
season, which is kind of crazy because normally I would be like, nah, I don't want him because he is, and we need him. But he has been playing. He's been available. I think most of the games. How many games he played? He's played 34. Yeah, 34 out of game. So yeah,
But
he's
are
been.
we 34 out of 41? Yeah, I mean it's just always it's just a risk. But listen, like I said, I'm not pounding the table for him. But if they bring in Brogdon,
I win.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, same.
Anybody else? I think we talked about everything. We didn't talk about Murray. I think kind of what I'm getting is the Knicks don't want to take on players who have money beyond next year. And if they do have money beyond next year, they would prefer it's a team option so that they can have flexibility. Um, Murray is on a cheap contract, but he just signed his extension. So he's under contract for 4 years. And if you want to flip him for a star and then that player team doesn't want him, now you're talking about a 3-team trade and and what have you. But I like Murray. I'm all in on Murray, but I understand the Knicks if they don't want to mess with their flexibility.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I just wanted to say real quick. Herb Jones,
Yes.
he's 6'7", so they say that he's a small forward, shooting guard.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
kind of be like a OG off the bench,
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a problem with Herb Jones. I like him. He's somebody I wanted before. I just don't think the 3 position is a priority for us. But I'm not mad if they get Herb Jones. I'm not mad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not mad. I tell people all the time, I just buckle up. As long as it's not Miles Bridges or Josh Giggity, I'm cool. I'm still gonna be a Knicks fan. So I just buckle up and enjoy the ride, wherever it's gonna take us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, even with those guys, for me, I believe in second chances. Everybody makes mistakes. So,
Right.
is what are you doing to move on from the mistake? I think we do live in a society where people want to, like, you make a mistake, that's it. Like, excommunicate you. You don't get enough. You know what I mean? So, I'm more interested in what are you doing now to move
Yeah.
forward. Um, any Anything we didn't discuss? Any questions you have for the panel? Any player we didn't discuss? Anything else you want to say or talk about?
You want to talk about Josh Hart?
Yeah, we was talking about him
I
before
was going to say that we was
the show.
talking about him, yeah, before the show.
A lot of what he does doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but I still feel, and his on-off numbers are really good. Like the Knicks are better when he's on the floor. Just don't feel that energy. I don't know. He's had some knee issues. I don't know if that's part of it. Where he's been inconsistent in his energy, but I don't know. I don't really know.
I think he bit off more than he can chew, which is why he's inconsistent. I think maybe fatigue is something he's battling. And again, you see, the jumper's knee is what they call it. It seems that he's had that for a little while. Like he sat down with other teams, missed times with other teams with the same injury. So. And the first time you went to the playoffs, so that's the extended season for the first time, and then you extended even more.
Mhm.
You extend it even more when you go to the Olympics, and on top
Right.
of that, you have newborn twins. So he might have bit off just a little bit more than he could.
Remember that season after Randle had not a twin, but he had a child?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a mess. Yeah.
But I like Josh. I think his impact will be felt more in the playoff setting.
Okay.
Because he does do, like they say,
Right.
get the rebounds that break teams. You seen that yesterday.
Yeah.
He got offensive rebound. He made plays that make it can take the energy out of a team, literally. The N1 things of that nature. He just really and what I like what the Knicks are starting to do with him. They're using him as the picker, like so he does pick and rolls, so he can operate in a place that he's comfortable in. Also, instead of just out in the 3-point line, which is in by the mid range.
Mhm.
So I like that. Tibbs is trying to make trying to make it easier for his players.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like Josh.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I'm not mad with her. This chat is on fire. Just making sure they let me know he could play the three. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm not mad. I was super excited when they terminated his contract. I thought the Knicks had a chance, but it was just to re-sign him. Um, yeah. Anybody else? Or
I want to ask you, Golden State, they're going through it over there. They got
yes.
some turmoil over there. Is there
Mhm.
anybody that you might be interested youth wise or over there? I know they have like Kuminga and Moody.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, I would like somebody with a little more experience. I
gotcha.
would like Wiggins if he wasn't making so much money. And he's not having a good season at all.
On
But I
either
don't think we
side.
need him to do um that much 3 and D. Well, similar to Herb Jones, right?
Mhm.
Just just 3 and D. But I don't know if there's anybody else over there.
No.
I'm
Um,
good with anybody else. I was thinking more of the youthful pieces.
or the youth.
Um,
Yeah, but do you
yeah,
think
the vets. I think it's about their time.
right, right. Do you think we have room on the team for to groom a young player? Because I do see like some of these championship contending teams, they might have one rookie. Like you think about Denver, Brown gave them some minutes, in the playoffs. When I watch
Right.
Philly, Springer plays a little bit. So they are grooming some young players.
Yeah. And what's the other guy? Brown. It's Brown, right? Christian Brown.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
They
yeah,
play him, and also Michael Porter Jr. You got to remember Michael Porter Jr. too. He was still,
yeah.
kind of finding his way. Also,
When they yeah, but he was a top talent, even if he fell to I think it was 14
because injury
that year.
issues.
Yeah, because of injury issues.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, whatever the Knicks do, don't mess up the flexibility. They're in a tough spot because you can't be waiting and waiting for something that might not ever happen. But at the same time, but I don't know. Oh man, yeah, I think that's a tough. I think
Yeah.
that's a tough spot.
See, that's what I was saying. 1 minute you like go here, then like
It's
go
true.
here.
It's true.
Exactly.
I think it's a tough. I think it's a tough spot. Therein, and I agree with you, Lady in the Chef. The Knicks act like we don't have no assets. The way they be shopping, I'm like, oh, this costs too much money. This costs too. Got a $5,000 a month pension, and you don't want to pay $199 for grapes because over at the other store they was $189. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right. I
Like,
I think more so with them. I don't know, but I'm hoping it's because maybe they're trying to reverse this Knicks tax. They see that
mhm,
this person could get him for a first round pick, but when they talking to us now, they want a first round Grimes, Evan, Deuce, Deuce.
right.
Is a
Yeah, I agree
maybe
with
that.
you. But I think if it's a player you want, I'm willing to pay the tax.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A little extra. I'm willing to. It's just like you go and you see a pair of shoes you want, you then searched all over for the shoes and you finally see them and they a little above budget.
Hmm.
You're like, you know what? They ain't got to do this. But I'm gonna pay for it because I really need this, you know? And I think for the Knicks, if it's gonna send your team over the top and make you significantly better and you have the assets, you can't just be standing on principle. I just think you got it. To me, I feel I would do it.
Yeah.
Um, if they asking for a little extra from me, I know it's not fair. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just saying
Mhm.
I need these shoes for this party tonight.
You need the shiny shoes.
And I'm running out of time. You know what I mean? So I would pay this extra. I'll pay this little extra. Um, yeah.
That's
But
too funny. Yeah.
yeah. Maybe they have wind of something
Yeah.
in the off season and they trying to stay flexible.
Yes. You know how they always talk about CAA ties and things of that
Hmm.
nature.
Hmm.
You got Booker's, his name floats. He's an agent, a client of theirs, and things of that nature. And again, with the CBA, we never know who gonna go on the clearance sale. We don't know who going on that clearance rack.
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so it's just
Yeah.
like, and again with this front office, they're very tight, close knit because nobody's leaking anything.
No, nothing.
Nobody's leaking
Nothing.
anything, and I like it because all these people outside is kind of changing. Besides the Aces people, it's
Right.
changing the way people are looking at our team, looking at the Knicks. Like you have to talk about us with some type of respect if you're gonna, or just be truthful about it.
Right.
Like you want to talk about the Knicks, just make sure it's facts. That's all.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing with the Knicks, they may not just be holding out for somebody to drop loose. They also thinking about this salary cap and that they're gonna have to pay Brunson and Randle, make a decision on Hartenstein, make a decision on Grimes if he stays on the team. It can and Josh Hart's contract kicks in next season. It can pile up really quick where you're at the second apron and you don't even have a championship team. You do not want to be in a situation like
Yeah.
that. So they do have to be careful in that respect as well. So I'm pretty sure that's a part of their thought process.
That sounds
Um,
like the Bulls, right? That's where they're at right now, right?
yeah.
Pretty
Oh,
much.
somebody mentioned Caruso. I would love Caruso
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
Chicago Bulls. Somebody in the chat, shout out to whoever you are, mentioned Caruso. Six
Mhm.
five, can handle the ball, plays defense, really smart, heady player. That would be.
Yeah,
But they want a lot for him. They really value him in Chicago. You're not getting him for less than a first round pick. Forget it.
I would do it for Cruz. I like players like that. And the fact is he can get you some offense if need be.
Right.
So yeah, I like Caruso.
Joe
I
Curry, are
think
you subscribed to the channel?
yeah, they,
Just
they
want
were saying Sorry, they were saying Terry Eason, KOT yesterday at the post game. They were saying mentioning Eason from
I like Eason
Houston,
too.
but I don't think Houston is going to let go of him or
Right.
part with him.
Yeah.
But
He's an
again, that's
all
CBA.
around. Yeah. He's an all around play. He doesn't even have the offensive game unless he's developed it since I last saw him as of a Herb Jones. I don't think he's there offensively, but defensively and transition, he's good. He's young though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That
It's
yeah.
like no more young pieces. We got to win
No,
now. We got to
no,
win
no, no.
net.
Because you can have it depends on what roles you're putting them in. And right now we have McBride and Grimes in a role on that second unit where you're really counting on them. And I don't even think that's fair for them. But yeah, I think you can have some, some young players. Yeah, I like Eason. Yeah.
I don't know. I tell you, it's like playing Russian roulette. You don't know. You just don't know. You just don't want to shoot yourself.
And the thing about it is you can lose ground standing still because the other teams are upgrading around you.
Exactly.
You know? When I saw it when Boogie called me to tell me about the Rozier, was like somebody punched me in the stomach. I'm like, just when you think like we got that little edge, Siakam, Rozier.
Right.
So
Pacers 0-4 since their trade, though. Shouts out to the Pacers 0-4.
yeah. But this is a thing, like OG doesn't command the ball, so he fits in seamlessly.
Yes.
Siakam, he's not because he demands the ball. And Halliburton has been in and out of that lineup with the hamstring.
Yeah.
It's all about sacrifice. If he's willing and going to sacrifice, that's it. Like you see the difference between the Clippers. The Clippers started off when they got Harden, and he was talking about he the system. They were losing games. They were struggling.
Right.
You ain't the system no more, buddy. Calm down.
Right. When he said that, I was like, oh, okay.
and
you could
then
have kept that to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And then now, but you see them sacrificing. You see Harden actually intentionally giving people passes. I actually named the bailout pass the Harden assist. I named it the Harden assist because that's what he used to do. Help me out. And then he get an accidental assist. But now he's getting it intentionally. He's setting up players. He's point guard Harden right now. You have Westbrook playing from the 6-man role, and yeah, they're sacrificing. So when you have so many alphas like that, you have to have the alphas that are willing to sacrifice for the team. I think even though Phoenix is injury, but dealing with Bill's injury issues, I don't know if they have the sacrifice down just yet.
Right. Well, they've been in and out of the lineups. It's been really hard for them to get their rhythms, but those teams you're talking about, those are talented. Like I think we have talent, don't get me wrong, but we're relying a lot on chemistry as well. And chemistry is fickle, it could get disrupted. So
yes,
we'll
I'm scared about, Queen. I'm scared. That's why I'd be scared to make
nah. You good with this? You good?
I didn't say see Queen. No. No.
You good? I'm scared. I'm like, yo, we playing well right now, but is this gonna hold up in the playoffs?
That's
you like we good. I want to see this. Get us a little something on the bench.
But I said I want to see this because who is available? You get what I'm saying?
No, I agree with that part.
It's not that I'm just like, oh, we pat. But what we have available right now, all we can really do is plug a piece right now. There's no big fish right now. Right. So if it comes available, I'm all for it as long as it makes us a better team. Right. But right now, it's just like the list is limited.
Yeah, and the Knicks don't want to be desperate. Just bringing anybody to the team. Don't be desperate.
Yeah.
Don't be desperate, but bring some talent, though.
Right.
We need some talent. Let me tell you, if I woke up tomorrow and they said we had got Murray, and I get it. You might not be able to flip him. I get it. He may mess with the chemistry a little bit, because we would have to fit him. We would have to fit him in. Talent wins in the NBA, and I'll take my chance with talent and work on fit than fit with less talent, because now you're just working on chemistry and things are going smooth, and you can hit a buzzsaw in the playoffs, in my opinion. So it looks good right now, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we get in the playoffs and McBride and Grimes come through. If we don't make any changes, Randle is all NBA Randle in the playoff. Brunson's still burning. And then we have those shooters. I feel confident in Devo and OG because they've been in the playoffs before. So I feel comfortable with them. I see a path forward for the Knicks. Don't get me wrong, but everything would have to fall right. A lot would have to fall in place, but I do see a path forward.
Yes, yes. I'm excited.
Yeah, give me the talent and we'll figure out the fit, right? Yeah, I see the argument both ways, though.
Yeah.
I see it both ways. Hit the like button, 116. Let's
Hit
see.
the like
Are we
button.
over 100? I'm gonna have to refresh and see where we at. Ooh, we at 115. I appreciate you guys.
Salute, guys.
Yeah, salute. Any last words?
I just wanted to shout out A Train. He said Leon's waiting for Prime
She.
Day. She said
And
she's waiting on Prime Day.
on which
Leon's waiting on Prime Day.
day?
I mean, at this rate, that seems like where we're going. So yeah, I'm not holding my breath. And at the same time, I'm not getting too high or too low about it. It's just like it's I think we just have to wait and see. I hope the Knicks front office don't keep us waiting to the last minute and they miss the window of opportunity of getting someone. But I'm not going to be completely disappointed if they don't. I think that's where, like you just said, I hope Grimes and Deuce can step up for the team. Josh Hart can step up for the team.
Yeah, we
So,
asking a lot. But yeah, I hope you're right. Eb, any last word?
Yeah, as the team is constructed, we underdogs. We have to work smarter. I
Yeah,
truly believe in it, but I take IQ over athletics, to be honest. Because those who have IQ and athletics are the superstars, ironically, when you think
right,
about it.
right.
But I'll take, so if we work as a team, I believe we can make moves. There go that teamwork, but it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah. No, no.
it's
I was. It was somebody in the chat.
Nah,
I was laughing.
nah. That's there go the teamwork to go. You know how I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
I think if we can do that, and like we were, so when we first got OG, how Brunson and Randle, they were getting others involved. You see that first now. You see that first quarter they getting the Dante involved. They try to get OG or whoever else, and
Mhm,
iHeart, whoever else they can involved first, and then as that happens, it makes again because they're so good one on one, it makes it easier, that their job easier, because they have more space to work in against only one player, and
mhm,
now the defense is hesitant, and that can cause accidents. So I'm just saying, if I just like the team because it can take pressure off of the other, take pressure off of Randall, where he
mhm.
has
Yeah.
different options with the OG or Dante,
Mhm.
and Grimes and McBride can hit their shot, because again, Grimes is shooting 39%. That's not
Right.
terrible, you
No,
know.
that's really
Yes,
from three.
yeah, it was 39.
That's
Last
good.
time
It's
I
just that
checked, it
it's
was 39.
inconsistent. 50% one game and 25
Yeah,
the next. But yeah, you're right.
it's not bad. So if you have these options, again, it's to me, it's just like what they needed for LeBron James to win. You
Mhm,
remember they put a bunch of shot creators around him and not too many
mhm,
shooters, and that
mhm.
didn't work so so well. We was like, that's not how you win with LeBron. And I kind of figured the same thing with Brunson. You need as many people to keep the defense hesitant from helping for them. But I like the direction we're going in, and I guess, like I said, because there's not any superstars available, we'll get to see them
Mhm.
for a little while longer.
Right. Yeah. Keith Turner, I agree. Tibbs don't want nobody but Brunson handling the ball. He did the same thing with Derrick Rose. Because I was like, we need somebody in that backcourt to help Brunson. But I think Tibbs liked the ball in his hands. And I agree. If we were to get Murray, the only reason it wouldn't work is if Tibbs just put Murray off ball and
So
stuck him there. I think if you got two players who can play, both can play on and off the ball, you got to use that to your advantage. Have Brunson run off plays while Murray is handling the ball, and vice versa. And if Tibbs doesn't do that, then he wouldn't be taking advantage of having both of those guys on the team. And Keith Turner, I've thought about that. I thought about that as a concern if we got Murray and just stuck him at the two guard and didn't allow him to handle the ball and use Brunson, whose catch and shoot is really good. Let's set him up. Let's take the ball out of his hands sometime and set him up and have him play
Right.
off ball. So you're absolutely right, Keith Turner. If Tibbs doesn't do that, to me, it would be a waste.
I think he would though, Queen.
You think he
I think
would?
he would do it. I think he would do it because I've been noticing. I'm not a big Tibbs fan either, so
I know.
yeah. But I think he would do it because I've been noticing lately, especially that Brunson has been playing more so off the ball. You see him going off little screens. He getting open shots on the wing more than anything. Whether it's coming from Julius or OG or Dante, whoever has the ball at the end, or even iHeart, like we mentioned. So I think he might, and I spoke to a couple of Hawks fans in some spaces, and we were talking going back and forth, and they said that he does his best at the one. Like so, it's like we were mentioning. So he
Yeah.
does do the best at the one position, which is the issue because you got Trey Young, and then you have him.
Right.
And then they also said another issue is him guarding bigger guards. He does better at the one position. They said
Right.
he's better at the one position. So
Yeah, then that would be an issue because I don't know about Brunson at the two,
too.
guarding the twos, but but he got to. I mean, right now I see Tibbs. He be like, Tibbs is feeling himself. He got OG and whatever. He like Brunson just guard anybody. Sometimes I see Brunson. I'm like, what? He putting Brunson on so and so. He like, it don't even matter now. We good. You can guard anybody. You want to guard the best point guard? Go ahead, guard him. We good. We got your back. You
He said,
notice that?
OG got your back.
Yeah, he was hiding him before. Now I'm like, yo, you got Brunson on so and so. He like, yeah, we got you. You know. Yeah, somebody said something about Cleveland, who's playing very well without Mobley and Garland, and that's Donovan Mitchell killing it over there. So I like competition. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to how the Knicks, the rest of the season, these we play Miami Saturday, right? Looking forward to that. Denver tomorrow, looking forward to that. I like the conversation. Oh, okay.
And,
That's
and then Queen, they also found a gym too, right? Oh, they Cleveland found the gym. What's his name? Sam Merrill. Merrill, am I
yes,
saying his
yes,
name?
yeah,
He's having
yeah,
a good season.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be a dogfight. You see how tight it is from like 4 through what 8, 9,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, it's gonna be a dogfight. Somebody make one move, it can just change. It
In the
can
blink
change
of an eye.
everything in
Yeah,
that Eastern Conference. You know.
exactly.
And the last thing I'll say for the Knicks is sometimes you got to take advantage of opportunity. The East, I mean, I get Boston is the best team, but a lot of teams are making moves because they believe the East is wide open. They believe Boston, as good as they are, can be beat. You know, so I think, you know, eh, the time might be now. The time might be now, you know? Again, if you can find somebody. If you can
Queen.
find somebody.
I didn't ask you who you said Murray was your pick that you want out of all the.
Murray is my pick unless he puts us out of the running for a star, or if he locks us in into that once we pay, we can't move him, and then we got to play Randle and whatever, and now we locked in. I don't really want to do that. As much as I like Murray, I'm not sure he's that finishing
Yeah,
Peace.
you would
But if
still
he
need
doesn't
another
lock
one.
us in, yeah, I would want Murray tomorrow. I really like him. I really.
She said tomorrow. She
Lady
wants
Michelle,
Uber Eats.
who would you out of all the targets? Who would you want the most? I can't remember.
Um, yeah, I think my pick right now is Murray. He looks the best option for us.
Hmm.
Just because I like the versatility that he can bring. But I do agree with what you both were saying with Tibbs' decision making, and if he, doesn't allow Murray sometimes to bring up the ball,
Right.
which he's more than capable of doing comfortably,
Hmm.
and allow Brunson, you know, and that honestly, like that would have to be the option because I know Diva Locks and myself, we literally were going back and forth about this on one of the episodes, and she was trying to tell me like, you got to understand, Spider is not going to come here and come off the bench.
No.
So I was trying to say exactly what you both were saying as far as Murray playing the point, and I said, oh, it'd be nice. I said if they got Spider, and sometimes he could bring up the ball. I said, and then Brunson could,
Mhm.
get the ball in his spots and go to work, and vice versa. If Brunson could bring up the ball, she said, yeah, that sounds nice, but that's not going to happen. She's like, because he's going to want to start. As much as he wants to come to New York, he's not going to come here if he's coming off the bench. And I get
No
it,
way.
but I just think that for me, my pick is definitely Murray. He's like the strongest. And I know two other guys who I thought about would possibly be good for the second unit, Tyus Jones.
Oh, I like Tyus Jones for the second
I
unit.
Yeah, and I kind of like Kyle Kuzma too. I think that he would be like a good addition on the second unit too, to bring some shooting, who can get to the rim, and can create his own. So, but yeah, for me, out of all those guys so far, it's Murray.
Yeah, well, I didn't even have Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell in the conversation. But if you put Donovan Mitchell in the conversation, I'm taking Donovan Mitchell over Murray. Donovan Mitchell is a bucket, and you're gonna
Yeah,
need that in the playoffs. And you know what? I see Brunson almost like an amoeba. I hope I got that right. Um, he could, if you got Donovan Mitchell, I can see Brunson taking a step back and playing more like a point guard in terms of of distributing. Now, obviously, he gonna still get his, but you see how offensive minded he is right now. I
yeah.
think if we got Donovan Mitchell, he wouldn't be as offensive. He'll still score. Don't get me wrong. He'll still be clutch. Don't get me wrong. He'll pick his spots. Don't get me wrong. But I think he's scoring the way he is because he has to.
Hmm.
And I think if we got Donovan Mitchell, I don't think he would have to. I think he would. I think you would see him play more of a point guard um role. Um, but that ain't happening.
No, it's
And
not.
maybe that's who the Knicks are holding out for. Because if he doesn't sign that extension, are you going to go? If you're Cleveland, you going into the season with him next season? Probably not. You're probably going to move him in the off season.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my whole thing with moving, I'll be scared because we struggling without quickly in that bench role, so it's been up and down with the bench performances. Sometimes
Hmm.
sometimes we outscoring there, the bench is going crazy, 40 points, whatever it is, and then next time we got 11 or whatever. So it's been really up and down with that aspect. But I scared with trades when we give up multiple bodies for this one person, and then you make a hole for yourself, if you want to say so. Yeah,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. I
I
agree.
know that leaves less room for mistakes.
But you got to fill it in. So like you got to go to the waiver wire. You got to go to the buyout market. You got to fill it in. If you do a 3-for-1 trade or something like that, you can't leave it like that. Like the Knicks, what they just did, they got to fill that in. They can't leave it like this.
exactly.
Yeah, I agree. Like kind of like what Phoenix did, and what they had to do,
Right.
just fill in here and there.
But they got some good feelings though.
They did.
Those players they got, you don't usually get on minimum contracts.
They got shooters. Yeah, they got Eric Gordon. Yeah. They did fill it out pretty. I didn't think they were going to do it that like they did. To be honest, I had doubts. I was like, okay, Phoenix, I see, I see you.
Keith Turner, you're absolutely right. This is why. This is one of the reasons why I want Murray, but it doesn't necessarily mean you can flip him because the other team may not want. Who are we sending to to headline a trade in the summertime? Unless a team is just trying to dump salary. Or you sending out Julius Randle. Who else? Who's headlining the trade? You're absolutely right, Keith.
Yeah.
Mr. Turner. You're absolutely right.
Maybe if again if we make a strong push in this playoffs, that we get somebody to say by name and help with that tax, like kind of cut it out. They say, hey, I'm not going there, I'm not signing anywhere else, kind of like what Siakam was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not signing anywhere where else, except I want to go here. um, maybe that'll help. That can help, but like I said, we shall see. I think anything's possible after the OG trade. Y'all, I'm so optimistic because we got a lawsuit against that team.
Yeah, money talks.
Right. Right.
We have a lawsuit. They still trading. They trading the rivals. They don't care. And I think that it'll show the league too that we're doing well by the players. They're still they're not just putting them where they don't have a chance to flourish.
Mm-hmm.
They gave Obi a pass first point guard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is what it is what it is. I think both teams won that trade. Are better for it.
Yeah. I think we'll know in a few years because there is some if IQ blow, you talk about the Toronto trade.
Yes.
If IQ blow up,
Yeah.
But this is the thing though. A lot of times when you trade players, it's not because you don't think they're going to be good. They just don't fit your timeline. That's all. I don't think the Knicks don't think quickly is going to be good. They just needed OG right now for what they're trying
I
to do.
think I think if Quickly was a couple of inches taller, he'll still be a Knick. It was just the fact that we needed somebody to guard the Anthony Edwards and things, make
Right.
them uncomfortable.
Right.
Grimes did his best because that's one thing I can say he's done consistently this year is play defense.
Mm-hmm.
He's grown on that end. He's just again somebody that needs a couple of more inches on his height,
Mm-hmm.
because the good offensive players shoot right over him. They
Mm-hmm.
shoot right over him. Well, yeah, I think if IQ was taller, he would still be a Knick. Um, it's just the fact that they wouldn't start him next to Brunson, and that's a lot of money to give somebody off the bench and just in that point guard position. That's a lot of money in that point guard
Right.
position
Right.
itself. So I understand why he's not a Knick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. And IQ wanted to be a starter too.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
part too.
Yeah, he wanted to be a starter and he thought he was worth more. I think if you could believe the reports, the Knicks were offering 18 and he wanted to be in the $25 million, range.
Not coming off the bench.
Yes. And then again, with this new CBA, you got to be not that they was that cautious with Josh Hart though, but you got to be kind of cautious because these contracts add up. Yeah.
So IQ had to go in the clearance rack. See, that's that
Mhm.
CBA. I'm telling you, we just gotta wait our turn. Somebody gonna get there. We gonna
Somebody's
get
gonna
him off the rack.
somebody is gonna shake loose. But you're absolutely right. And I think the Knicks are aware. The Knicks are aware of that. All right.
Oh, they want the Candace Parker talk.
Oh, we'll be
Yeah,
talking about that. I mean, I think it just comes down to the fact that for me, I feel like you can't be a commentator and be casual at the same time. You got to do your homework. You can't make a statement like that when he was clearly better in the second round than he was in the first round.
and then she should have learned, like, your coach already said it, because Becky Hammond's her coach.
Right.
And then you're going to go back and double back and say that, and then you try to double back on it and say, oh, no, he is a good player, but no.
Right.
No.
And you didn't even need to say that. All you had to do was say, I chose Donovan Mitchell Garland is out. Mobley is out, and he's leading that team. They're in fourth place, and they what? I don't know, 9-3, 12, whatever they were. That's why I'm going with Donovan Mitchell. You didn't have to say nothing about Brunson, anything about Brunson.
And the Aces organization just need to keep the New York franchises out their mouth. I feel like Will Smith. Keep my team name out your mouth. Especially if it's not facts. Like, come on. Like, you can speak about the team. We know we're not perfect. We know the Knicks are far from perfect. We get that. So we okay with you saying that, okay, maybe they need to do, fix up something of that nature. But just to say that something that's right there, see, with Becky Hammond, that was a what if.
Right.
What she said was a what if. Only time will answer if she was correct or not.
Right.
But this happened already. It's Google. Right. You go Google. Jalen Brunson second round stats, and then you see 40, 31, 35. That
right. He was
the math not mathing.
Yeah. Coach. So they were discussing. I think this was the Knicks Nets game. It might have been after the game, but they were discussing who they voted for and why. And Candace Parker said she voted for Donovan Mitchell over Jalen Brunson as starters. And her rationale was, I didn't hear all of her rationale, but part of it was Brunson was okay last year. First of all, I don't know what last year in the playoffs have to do with the All-Star voting this year. But anyway, Jalen Brunson was okay in the playoffs last year. He was good in the first round, not so much in the second round. And clearly he was better in the second round. So I'm not sure what she was watching.
She also said that because she voted for him too, because Cleveland has a better record. Did they do? Scooby Doo? The noise, Scooby Doo noise. Because really?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I just think when you do that, now I'm questioning everything you say from now on, because if you're gonna cover my team like that I know that you just flat out told something that was untrue, what else teams are you not covering correctly? And what else misinformation are you giving out? You could have just easily said, I didn't get to watch it because I was preparing for my season. You could have said said something of that nature or deflected, but not just flat out. I'm tired of that Aces. I might be a little biased, but I'm tired of them Aces, man.
Yeah. But I think even with the Becky Hammond statement, what's the basketball reason for why you can't win with an what's the basketball reason? Because it hasn't, even let's just say it never happened. It has, but let's just say it never happened. Did it not happen because the undersized player was small, or did it not happen because the other team was better? Like, I think about Allen Iverson and the Philadelphia. They didn't win, but did they not win because Iverson was undersized, or because the Lakers were better with Shaq and the fact that ragtag team even got to the finals?
Right.
So that's what I don't understand. Like, you got to look at the rosters and say, no, this team was good enough, and the reason they lost was because this player was
I thought that was nutty too, Queen, and the fact that I was going back and forth with a couple of their fans, and they were saying, well, what did she say? Y'all taking it out of context. She was saying spitting facts and this and this. No. She had a lot of opinions mixed with a little bit of history. That's what you get. That's what you're getting confused. She mentioned about Steph, and I said, "Well, that's facts. That's history." And then she mixed in her opinion of why she just thought that it had nothing to do with basketball reasons. She would have said, his defense could be better. Things of that nature. I wish that he passed more in the flow of the games and got others better. Can he? If that was a question of hers, can he make others around him better? Then that's a basketball question that you can answer. But just to say, he's undersized as the answer of why he can't be a 1A or the guy, and to be an undersized person to say these remarks like you're an undersized guard that didn't make it to the championship. So are you talking about yourself projecting your?
She said as much. She said she gave herself as an example. But Bergen this usually don't win. But what she was trying to say is the reason they don't win was because they're small.
Mhm.
What's the basketball reason for you can't win with a small player? Like if you're gonna tell me they're easy to trap, um, that give me a basketball reason why the smallest player can't be. Don't say because it's never been done, it can't be done. And don't give me and if it hasn't been done, look at those teams, look at those rosters and tell me this team was good enough to win and they didn't win because their best player was small.
Yeah, and you know what I bring up to a lot of those fans also. They talk about the smaller player taking or leading their team, but when you get Finals MVP, that means that you were the biggest impact on the game, right? Of the finals, that you did the most. You
Right.
impacted the game more than any other player on your team, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of small Finals MVP down that list. You got the Tony Parkers, you got the Joe Doom. They're on that list. So, and then you point out Steph, and then they say, "Oh, that's just rare. It's rare." But it happens. It can happen. That shows you, rare or not, the Isaiah Thomases, it can happen.
If your roster is good enough, you got to have
Exactly.
a good enough roster.
Because AI had no Robin. He had no Robin. He had Tyrone Hill was his next leading scorer at 11 points, I believe it was.
Mm.
Like, and for them to get one game was a miracle. When we thought they was gonna get swept, when they
Yeah,
played the Lakers, they got the one
yeah,
game. We was like, yes,
yeah,
like it
yeah,
was a moral victory.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't. Yeah, I didn't get that.
And
Um,
I I especially don't get it, Queen, because Jalen Brunson doesn't play like a normal small guard. I've never seen a small guard see a bigger player and then think to put that person in the post. And then me as a spectator be like, he got this, like that's Brunson. Like you feel confident that even with this person being bigger, that his footwork is so elite and his IQ is just ridiculous that that he's going to get to this basket any way he knows how to. And
yeah.
that's what you need. That is what you need. That's what you need. For the guy, your guy. I
Mm-hmm.
always say, I told you, Stephen, in one of your other shows that I think we have the puzzle. I just think we need a piece.
Oh, I agree. I
Yeah,
agree. I
I
mean, you
think.
haven't heard me of late. I said I believe in the Brunson, um, Randle duo.
Uh huh.
But I just think their number three needs to be a little better than those other teams' number three. But I believe that you can win a championship with those two guys, depending on who you put around them. No doubt about it.
Suppose the you like we were mentioning earlier, maybe it's just a comfort period where he doesn't want to overstep his boundaries. But as
Mhm.
he gets more comfortable, if he shows you more shot creating, what would that help with
For
your
OG,
yes? Would that
hell
help with
yeah, it would.
your, okay? That's
Yeah, yeah, it would
okay.
because I respect what he brings to the team. But them first few games, I was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna have to bring it back. He not that guy that's gonna be able to shot create. He just gonna take, what comes to him and play fundamentally sound basketball. I really want somebody to get OG in the summertime.
Yes.
Um Anthony D, he says stop lumping them together. Like, my mouse is messing up. It's doing its own thing.
Who
Uh
Brunson and Randall?
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm trying to get to his comment. Let me see.
we gonna call them.
My mouse wants to do its own thing.
I call them the bra. They be lifting us up.
Yeah.
Brunson, Randall, and Anunoby, the bra.
Oh God. Stop lugging Randall with
With
Brunson. You getting me tighter than spandex in the summer. But you know what? We may not like it, but I think this is the direction the Knicks are going in. I would be shocked if they traded I don't know about shocked, but I would be a little surprised if they traded Randall. Because I just feel like we're on out like who are you trading them from? Like that could change the whole dynamic. Um Yeah.
Yeah. With
Yeah.
Randle again, I think the same. I was never key on just trading him. Like even if he made me mad, because I realized we're not going to probably get equal value, because the league doesn't see Randle for some reason. They just skip over his 2-time All-Star. They don't give him that type of look. I don't understand it. But I think if he doesn't perform in this playoffs, then anything's possible. I really think it's show and go for everybody, because Thibodeau's still working for an extension, and so is Leon Rose in the team, right?
Hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
The spell I need.
Yeah. And you know what? And I know if Josh was here, he would be like, "All right, that's what you deserve if your team is not winning." The Knicks will win, and I watch NBA TV in the morning. Um, we won. They showing the other team's highlights. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
we
All
won. We won. Why are you showing the other team's highlights? More than
and
it
then
is
and
what
then
it
the other fan base gaslight us like, nah, wow, not yeah, the Knicks suck, and we're like number 3. What? That was 3 seasons ago. Update your tapes. Like, come join us in
right.
2024, please.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they
definitely.
don't give us no love. Um, it was a
Yeah,
it's
definitely
a
change your takes. Like you talking about, I'm like, what? That's why, in a way, I kind of hate when we're on national TV, unless it's with like Doris Berg, Mike Breen, like somebody who's up on the Knicks, because these storylines is like,
Yeah.
come on.
Doris to spin some stuff for you. She'll make a turnover sound like it definitely was not you. If she like you, she gonna spin it for you. Lord, that baby, you could tell who she a fan of. She like Tatum and Jimmy Butler, that's for sure.
Mhm. She's actually a Knicks fan too.
Yeah, that's what
Um,
she said, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Adam Silver said he a Knick fan too, Queen. I don't believe it.
Oh,
I
really?
don't believe it. Not with this schedule. I don't
Right,
believe
right, 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 right. But yeah, I need somebody to work with OG in the summer. I need him to play with more power. He falling on the floor more than Mitchell Robinson. Every time you turn around, he on the floor. Like I
it.
just need him to just get a little more power going to the basket. But other than that, I'm good. I'm good with it.
Yeah, you said he his demeanor, and I meant to say it, but my memory shot, but it came back. So
Doing the
it's
club.
Kawhi like, very Kawhi like.
Yeah.
And whoever Kawhi work with Kobe, you can't do that right now. But whatever trainer Kawhi works at, or just watch his game, uh, that'll be, because Kawhi's not flashy either. He's not very.
Right. Right.
He's just very fundamentally sound, just like
Right.
OG.
He's a little more aggressive than OG though. But OG, maybe he'll find that, like, maybe it's just a matter of him getting comfortable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna show a little something.
I
Uh,
would be happy. I
'Cause
would be happy if he was the third
I,
option, because we would need less, you know?
mhm. I was doubting it, but then he showed me a little that he can get aggressive though. So I'm gonna watch. I'm watching
I'm gonna
still
watch.
with
I'm gonna watch
binoculars.
too. Yeah. I'm
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 I'm on
definitely
watch. Wait, hold on. Look. This is what I told Jay and them. We on watch like this, like that. That's how I'm on watch. Fine too, everybody, Tibbs and
yeah,
all.
yeah. I do be when OG put the ball on the floor, he pulled up for the mid. I was like super excited. I'm like, okay, all right, okay. We working with a little something here. But you know, you're gonna see flashes from guys. Is that something they can do, consistently? That's the thing.
I have one question for you guys
Yeah.
again, because we didn't speak about him. What do you guys think about Precious?
The last two games he's been better. Prior to that, I was like, what is going on here? And the Raptors fans told us that. They
Yeah,
said he could look great, and then he can look like what happened and where. And that's basically what it's been. But the last two games, he's looked better.
I I agree with you, Lady and Chef. What do you think about?
Yeah, I think that's because he's been getting the minutes.
Mm,
But my biggest concern is, can he be consistent?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the big, like, I think instead of using continuity, they should have been like, can the Knicks be consistent? Because we have a lot of players who are just, that consistency is not there. And with Precious, yeah, I think he had one game where he had 18. Another game he had like, I don't know if it was like 11 boards. I can't remember which teams it was against.
Toronto.
So
You
yeah,
always
yeah,
get up for your, so I don't even know how much to count that, but go ahead.
right, exactly. But yeah, I remember asking Diva and she was like, yeah, she said, she was kind of like the same. She's like, yeah, but is this for the long term? Like, can he do? Because I asked her, I said, oh, do you think that Precious can do this on a night in, night out basis, even with limited minutes? And she's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think we need to see, can he be a contributing factor to this team? And
Mm-hmm.
that I feel the same. I'm like, I'm still watching him to see what he can bring. So
Right.
I'm in limbo still with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you, Anthony D. We sometimes want too much out of a role. I just want him to catch the ball. He get a lot of passes that's just fumbling out of his out of his hands. But I agree, he can be serviceable. Let's see if he actually
I've been
becomes that. 'Cause he has a good skill set.
I was underwhelmed. I'm not gonna hold you. The last couple of games, like you said, he's been playing decent, but I
Right.
was very overwhelmed and feeling and relating to some things that I saw on social media. I don't know. Can we curse
Okay.
real quick? I'm gonna say what they was calling him. They was calling him precious ass chewer. So no, I was feeling that too. he was he was looking like he was about to be candidates in a lot of Shaq in the Fool episodes. So I don't know. It's still the verdict's still out on him. I know we want him to work because he can supposedly shoot from out there. We haven't really seen that so much, but
Mhm.
he's supposed to be able to spread the floor. But I would rather not to be. I would rather have seen more of Sims and I see somebody in the chat said Jacob Toppin. I was screaming Jacob Toppin earlier in the season too to give him some shows. Just shut us up. Like let us see it at least, Tibbs. If it's messed up, be like, shut up. I tried it,
Right.
but let
Right.
us see
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
I,
It's a
it.
trust
Precious.
issue for Tibbs.
yeah, no doubt about it. I'm not that high on Sims though. I feel like Sims was 4 years in college. This is his third year with the Knicks, and to me, he's still the same. Like I don't really see a lot of improvement. I mean, he's good for what he does, but it just seems to me like where he is right now is just who he's gonna be. I'm not sure how much more development we're gonna get out of Sims, but he's very active. I like that. He rebounds. I like that. He moves his feet. I like that. Um, but I think he's at his ceiling.
I, I was impressed with his shot blocking
Blocking.
yesterday.
He had, was it 4?
4 1/4, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no
And
doubt.
I was really impressed because normally his timing is off. he'll ju-
Right,
he'll
right.
jump too high or too early or
Yeah,
something of that
exactly.
nature. So I was like, that's growth. He was timing them. He was timing them pretty good yesterday.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to see a little bit more. That's it. When you get an opportunity, I'll be trying to get as much intel as possible. Let me see what you got.
Hmm. You don't
Yeah.
have to. People, like this is something I disagree with. I do think you do need to get in the game, but development is not just about in the game. What are you doing in practice? What are you doing with your developmental team? So when you get in the game, we can see what you've been working on. It's not just about in the game. Now, if you want to say his role is really defined, so that's why we can't see what he does. I get that, but playing time is not where you develop. That's not where you develop. That's where you show what you have developed.
I see it both ways.
Hmm.
I think the game can be a teacher because in that moment you don't ever want to feel certain things or you do want to feel it again,
Hmm.
and that always sticks in the back of your mind rather than in practice them telling you what can happen. And you be like, all right, nah, that ain't happening to me. I got it. And then you go to the game and then it happens to you. you feel that, and you don't want to feel it again. Or when it comes to pressure situation, I kind of agree, because when it comes to pressure situations, you want to try to get their feet wet, things of that nature. Golden State was really good at that, at using and keeping their whole roster involved. So
Mhm.
when they did get to the playoffs, they weren't like deer caught in the headlight type of
Right.
vibes.
No, I agree with that. And listen, you do need some time on the court to get used to it. It's a different speed than in practice. You could practice in an empty gym all you want, but so I get that. But I'm just saying, you can't tell me how are you going to develop if you don't get in the game, like that part. No,
Yeah, no, you still got to do your part.
you got to do
Exactly.
your part.
You can believe it or not.
Definitely still have to do your part. And with the Jacob Toppin, I think it's crazy because I think he really is a Tibbs kind of guy.
He
You
is.
know, he's more fun. It seems to be more defense minded, fundamentally sound than his brother, and just
Yeah,
another tall piece that we may be able to use.
yeah.
And he's right there. If you know, free is me, free free is me. He right there.
Maybe he'll get a call up at the end of the season. That happens. When they're resting guys and they already got their positioning and their seating and what have you. Maybe he'll you know, he'll come up. But the Knicks are kind of trending toward championship contention. So taking on developmental players and playing developmental players. Um, I'm not sure where the Knicks are with that. And shout out to this is Diva Locks, right?
That
Or
was
you put
me.
that up? Oh, you put
Paris,
that up? Okay. Sims
Paris
also.
told me to give Sims a chance because I've been saying, I agreed with I am Jerrell. I was like, I don't think he should be in the league. And he wrote earlier, he said, oh, you should,
Take over.
give him a chance. And but I agree with that. I'm not seeing anything from Sims. I mean, yeah, he could give you the blocks, couple of picks, but I don't know. I'm just not. I don't. For all of that, it's like he's like Mitch's little cousin. He ain't even his little brother. It's like his little cousin. It's just not. It's not the same. And I'm not saying I need him to play to the same level of Mitch. It's just not. He's like a fourth option. I would rather see Precious in, and Diva always comes back and says, but he has to get in the game. Like how you expected him to get better if he doesn't get in? I guess.
I think I'll take Sims. Precious reminds me of like uh a cousin of Julius, a young Julius Randle, like like a cousin of young Julius Randle. Um, you just don't know what's going down. You don't know what temperament you're gonna get. You
Right.
know, you don't know what decision making you're gonna get. My man did a turnaround fadeaway jump shot the other well, not the game before. Definitely, but and I don't think it's him. And he could have so many more rebounds if, like you mentioned, Queen, he would just catch the ball. You know how many times they
Catch
just
the
knocked the
ball.
ball right out his hand? I'm like, that was so easy. You didn't expect nobody else to be around you. You think you on the court by yourself? Come on, Precious.
Yeah, yeah. And again, maybe this is about him learning the offense, fitting in with the team. Maybe it's going to take him some time. He looked impressive against Toronto. Um, but again, how long has he been in the league? I think he should probably be past that. 2 games good, another game you don't look like you belong, a stretch of good game. Like I think you should be rounded into shape where we know who you are right now and what to expect. Now, again, it could be that he's just new to the team, but this is what I was hearing about him in Toronto as well.
They said he's not the most cerebral. Like, so I see that him 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 and Jordan Poole look like they will have fun going at each other on Shaq the Fool.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. I'm Jarvis. I'm trying to get my mouse together to highlight your
Yeah, he was drafted in
comment.
2020.
But I hear you when you're talking about Sims. He's a third string center, and he's basically there for some depth. You're absolutely right. I guess you're trying to
It's
say that we should cut him a little slack. All right.
Yeah, it's not a bad option when you think about it. What other teams could do this where you not, you could just plug
Mhm.
it in and just until do enough, the player can do enough for hold it down until the player can come back. I have to come back.
Right.
So like this is a good problem to have. Like
Yeah.
you where you can still have Precious and a Sims to hold it down when your two main centers go down. So yeah, I look at the positive on that end.
Yeah. I'm surprised he was even extended. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Divergent.
Maybe it's like
Views
I
on
said,
Sims.
practice, Queen. He might be showing some in practice.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Tom Thibodeau in preseason said, "Oh my God, I just love the way Jericho Sims is playing." I said, "Okay." I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting. I just saw more of the same. Maybe it's because he knew where he was supposed to be, and I don't know, but same skill set.
He has he has pretty quick feet. Like one
He
thing I
does.
do like
Oh, he's
about his
got
game
body.
is the one thing I do like about his game is perimeter defense. I think he might
Correct.
be our best perimeter big, maybe.
Yeah.
Man, I'll
A
be trying
train
to
on the
find
road.
some.
A train. He's active and moves his feet. So is my 6-year-old nephew. Not exactly
Yeah.
a glowing review for a multi-year player. Oh.
We got him for like 2 million a year. Hey, another team might. That's another option. They might see something we don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, he played well last night. I think for me, I try not to get too up when a player has like one or two good games, or to get really down if a player has a bad game.
Mhm.
It's just, in totality.
Yes.
He's solid. I just don't see a higher ceiling after 4 years in college, your third year in the NBA. This is who he is. And as a third year center, I guess that's fine. You know, a third, what did I say? Third year as a third string center. Yes, that's fine.
Um, yeah, Precious was actually he was drafted in 2020, so it was his fourth year.
Oh, okay.
I thought he was in the league longer though. I did. I
Yeah,
did think he was in the league a little longer than that.
yeah,
Maybe we gotta give Ash Chua some more grace.
yeah. I agree with that. Paris, Deuce and Sims are signed to be end of the bench functional players. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Right.
And you're right. Because of the trade, Deuce is pressed into duty. Because of the injuries, Sims is pressed into duty. So you're right about that.
It's just
Yeah,
a good I guess reliable piece.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
not going to do too much to hinder you. Not going to do too much to
yeah,
not going to do too much.
yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's just it.
yeah. And hard nosed players who gonna go out there and play with a high motor, right? Say what you want to say about Grimes. He's not out there loafing. He's out there, playing, um, playing hard. What do you think? Were you as annoyed as I was when you heard that Grimes was frustrated um, with the Knicks? Or did you just feel like he was frustrated and he voiced his opinion? That's, you
Mm.
know,
I thought he voiced his opinion, and I kind of get it. I understand what the frustrations are coming from. People they say what we gave him the job, he had a starting center, the starting job, he had his chances, and I understand when you look at it like that. But it was been a very up and down. He did start the season off pretty well, especially in the offensive end, and then he got hurt, and then it took a minute for him to recover, and now you see again he's back up to almost 40%. So I think that that I thought he had a fair chance. As a shooter, you need touches, and there was so many times in that game that he didn't shoot his first shot into the third quarter,
mhm.
or they weren't looking at him at all. and we weren't involving people. And people say you can't run offense for your sixth and seventh option. It's not even just running a set play for your sixth and seventh option. It's just having motion. So if you have a shooter and you know him to be a shooter, maybe put him off the pick. So just maybe his presence is a part of your offense in general. Just
Mhm,
a eye out on the shooter moving and things of that nature. I didn't see much of that for Grimes at all.
mhm,
And then when he voiced it and they moved it to the bench, he showed out again. He had a good game, and then the minutes kind of went up and down, and it wasn't his play that was determining this,
mhm,
because again he's had some games where he's hit 3 for 3, 2 for 3, but he didn't get back in the game again, So I
mhm.
get your I get why he can be frustrated. That's
Oh,
tight.
he
You
said it
actually have,
again. Not just that. Recently, he said something again, and that's why the Knicks are trying to move him because he's frustrated. I don't know how true it is. That's what the
yeah.
reports
I,
were.
I I heard it, but I'm also seeing a common thing. I'm not trying to think too much into it, but every time somebody speaks up, they not here very long, or their minutes dwindle. So I don't know what kind of ship we ride. Like, just shh, don't say nothing. Don't tell nobody. Kind of thing is looking like a
Yeah,
little bit, but
but
I
there's nothing
understand his
wrong with keeping
frustration.
things in house, though. Like that's
Yeah.
my thing with Grimes. Players can be frustrated, but I feel like keep it in house. You don't think McBride was frustrated? You don't think there's
Mhm.
other team players on the Knicks frustrated? You know, Tibbs. First of all, you went right into the starting lineup. You didn't even fight for the position.
Yeah, exactly.
If anybody has had your back, it's been Thibodeau. He didn't earn that spot, at least in my opinion. Maybe he earned it in practice, but I didn't see him earning it again. He was injured for 6 games. Came, the first game he was available, he was in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so now you're not getting the ball. I'm not saying don't be frustrated, but don't air dirty laundry. Go to the coaching staff, talk to them, talk to the
Mhm.
assistant coach, whatever. S- I just feel like, come on now, you ain't all that to be out
I
there
see it.
like
I
complaining.
see it both ways. Suppose he did say it in house and nothing's being rectified. And again, we see something with. I'm seeing a common theme with the NBA, not even just the Knicks, of a lot of organizations. Playing with people's careers, not necessarily because they just don't fit, not in their timeline. You understand? That I have a problem with. A lot of times, if I am impacting the game, and I'm impacting the game more than another player, it should be on who's when it's playing. It should be, to me, it should be who's impacting that game the most, right? That's who you should have on the floor the most, or in the clutch time situation, the ones that were helping you throughout the whole game consistently, right? That's
It
normally who you
depends on
have.
the coach's philosophy, though. Every coach has a different
Yeah, I, I,
philosophy.
I get
So
I
if
get it.
that's your philosophy, that was my philosophy when I coached. I rode the hot hand,
Hmm.
but every coach doesn't have that
Yeah.
philosophy.
And I
Um,
think that's Tibbs getting in his own way. To
I
me,
don't think so.
I think
I think
the
every coach has a right to their philosophy. You don't have to agree with it, but they
mhm.
have a right to their philosophy. And
I,
a lot of
I
times, what we
okay.
see as stubbornness
Hmm.
is a coach playing out their philosophy. So if that's my philosophy, of course I'm gonna consistently do it because that's my philosophy. You don't have to like it, but I'm entitled to it.
Yeah.
But you may have a philosophy of, you know, um, you know, every t- every 2 fouls, depends on where we are. If the person picks up 2 fouls, I might take him out, I might not. That's your philosophy. He's entitled to his philosophy. We don't have to like it.
I know I respect everybody's choice to run a team the way they want to. My thing is, when your choice gets in your way, that's when I have the issues with Tibbs. It's like when you're on a roll, you're on a roll. A lot of other teams don't do this. This is why the who's always get us. If you're on a roll, if somebody is there, you feed them until that hand cools off. You get what I'm saying? And I get it. Or you don't take them out when they're getting started. To me, that's helping the defense. You making the move for the defense. You just helped them out. You took the person, kind of like what Jock Vaughn did. I thanked him yesterday for taking Cam Thomas out, because that's when the game just went the other way, and it was for no reason. Like, you took Cam
But there
Thomas
is a
out.
reason.
Well,
because
he's a cone.
Van Gundy spoke. Van Gundy spoke about this years ago. He said, when you ride the hot hand, you are messing up your rotations. And that's what you always have to balance in the moment. Do I ride this hot hand? And that does mess up the rotation. Players are used to coming in at a particular time. There's no right or wrong answer. There are some coaches who ride the hot hand, and there are other coaches where this is your time to come out, and this is the time for so and so to come in, and it's going to happen whether you shot 0 for 6 or 6 for 6.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just Tibbs. I'm telling you, it's not just
I
Tibbs.
get it. I know that Steve Kerr doing his best Tibbs impression over there in Golden State Warriors. Nick Nurse definitely he runs the same thing. He's
That's what I'm
him and
trying to say.
Thibodeau are similar with the minute distribution between their
Distribution.
players.
That's
I,
what
I
that's what I'm
I
saying.
get it, but I'm not saying you. I know you go in there with a strategy. Everybody has their philosophy, their strategy. But my thing is the adjustments. I always say that Thibodeau would never get invited to the Rap City, the basement, to freestyle. He would never. He would never get invited to that show. He has to be written. Has to be written for Thibodeau. He can't just go off the dome. Like his to
Most
me.
coaches
That's
don't. You guys
no.
think these coaches are going off the dome because they're doing
I'm not
things
being
different.
literal. I mean, like I
No,
mean,
I understand what
Yeah.
you're saying.
yeah.
I see it all the time.
Mhm.
Coaches sticking to their philosophy. The
Yeah.
only difference is their philosophy is different than Tibbs. So they're going to make a different decision in that same situation, different than Tibbs would have made because they have a different philosophy. And I
I
think I hear what you're saying. I
yeah.
think as fans, oh, do this, do this, do that. That's not their philosophy. They have their philosophy in certain situations, and I've seen it for multiple coaches. I'm just
Queen,
saying.
I'm gonna throw this question at you because I understand and I get that's definitely true. But if you've been in the game as long as Tibbs and your philosophy has not gotten you really where you get what I'm saying, like it's okay to come out of your comfort zones. Like to me, the coaches that adjust and maybe if and I'm not saying all season, every day, every game. I'm not talking about just throw out your philosophy every game. But
Mhm.
if it's not working, it's not working. You still go, expecting a different thing. They call that insanity. It's like
I don't think so.
a
Because
fine line.
I think what coaches think is over the course of a season, my
Hmm.
philosophy is gonna um break more often than not. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Hmm.
So yeah, you're not gonna be 100%. Like 100% of the decisions you make based on your philosophy are not going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
That's for any coach. 100%. I'm coaching according to my philosophy. There's some decisions that are not going to work out, but coaches are playing the percentages that over time, more often than not, this decision, if I employ it consistently, is going to work out. I'm just saying because I've been in that position as well. And after the game, players will be like, I'm not players, fans, coaches, friends. Why did you make that decision? We also have to keep in mind as we on the bench, we looking on TV. We don't have half of the decision making variables or factors that go into any decision. We're looking at it with 2 or 3 factors. Any coach got 6, 7, 8 factors that they're balancing to make their decision. You know, and I don't agree. I've said this. I don't agree with everything Tom Thibodeau does. I don't understand everything Tom Thibodeau does, and there's things that I would personally do different. But I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm operating with all of the variables that he's operating when he's making his moves, and he has the right to his philosophy, whether I like it or not. I ride the hot hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do. But a lot of coaches don't do that, and they have the right to that. Oh, he can't coach because he ain't riding the hot hand. What? So he can't coach because he's not coaching according to your philosophy? I mean, and I'm not saying he's perfect. Trust me. I'm not saying that. Um,
Uh, he coached one of my favorite players all time, so I'm very familiar with Tibbs' game. I'm a big Derrick Rose fan. So
right. And I also
he,
think for any coach, rosters matter. Like
Mhm.
everybody want to put a lot of things on rosters matter. Oh, this coach never got on the set. What was the roster like? Who did they
Right.
lose to? Did they lose to a better team? If they lost to a better team, how you going to put that on the coach?
I didn't think Miami was better than us. I did. I probably was cocky because of the Cleveland game, but I thought we were gonna make it at least interesting. I didn't think we was gonna go out like that. And
But we did make it interesting. It went down to the wire in game 6.
nah, I thought definitely game 7. I thought, to be honest, I didn't think if it was game 6, I thought it was us that would be the victors. I did
Mhm.
think that we had that. I
The
I
fact
didn't
that
think.
we were even in the Miami series with how poorly we shot
Yeah.
is a testament to the coaching staff, the players playing gritty, the defense that we played. The difference in that series, and Miami didn't shoot great either. The difference
Mhm.
in that series, in my opinion, is that they made timely shots because they struggled shooting as well, but they just made more big shots than we did. That was the difference in the series.
And they
Um,
had it come from multiple different people. Gabe Vincent, uh, Martin, Duncan Robinson, like the others contributed, and we
and
for
we
some
was out
reason
there.
we could not break that zone.
Mhm.
Uh, the zone
Brunson
gave
was
us
out there by himself.
the
Yeah.
zone gave us havoc, and I thought that and it's crazy that the zone gives us havoc. I think we had and we still have the perfect players to beat the zone. RJ Brunson, and if Randle played, he was hurt, so he was limited. But if Randle was able to play the type of bully ball he's playing now in that zone that Miami was playing, I think they would have been forced to play man, and it might have looked like a different series then. Because I
But
don't think they could have stood up with us man to man.
do you think though, Randall playing? They were packing it in the key. Do you
Hmm.
think he would have had space to play bully ball the way they packed it in?
It's not even that him to look for his shot, is that from that angle, even with RJ, the way he was operating,
Mhm.
just the flash to the free throw line, you break it from inside out. Now you have multiple options. You can go from that once you get into the middle of the zone, they try not to make you. That's where you don't want, as a defense, you don't want anybody in the middle of your 2-3 zone.
Right.
So then if you play that free throw line where he's effective in the mid range and he's still a threat, and they always have to worry about, now he's not in front of you. He might be.
But what
Uh,
does that do? That gives you. So you're saying that if he did that, that would give them more room for the
it
outside
would gi- it,
shooters.
it would give, yeah, it would give the right reads or the right moves. Maybe help Brunson get easier shots than he had to work for. You get what I'm saying? Maybe more ball movement, a little of that nature. You work inside out, and maybe even get that dunker spot cut in.
Mm,
Because once you get into the middle of a zone, you have multiple options from that
you do,
aspect.
but I will say this: Miami was committed to the
Yeah.
middle of that zone.
Yep.
Committed. You could have got any outside shot you wanted because
Hmm.
they were giving that up. They weren't covering our shooters. So a lot of times on the zone, you're right. You want the ball movement so you can get open shots. You want to go inside, draw the defense in so you could get open shots. But the Knicks got as many open shots as they can handle. They just weren't knocking it down.
And it was the flow. We stood a lot. We tried to go 1-on-5, dribbling through zones. You can't do that. You're playing into the zone's hand when you do that, and not just the open shots. When you do from inside out, you can have somebody run that baseline area also. So once you're in the zone, you overlap. You can get somebody in that dunker spot, or hit back door. It's just more options. You help yourself out more. That's all.
Yeah, this is what I think. The Knicks need better players so that Miami can respect all of those options.
Right.
Because if you don't have those type of players, they're not gonna respect that. Now, the way our offense is run, players there's so much space now because of our shooting. How can you play a zone against us now? You
Well,
can
if,
get
if
the backdoor cuts. You
hmm
can you can if they suck in, you got players that when you don't have who is
Yeah.
cutting right into Bam. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I just feel like I'm not sure.
Josh, but and then we was talking about Tibbs guys though. Josh Hart is a Tibbs guy, and they were daring him to shoot. So
Correct.
you speak about rosters. That's a Tibbs. That's somebody you wanted on this team.
But that's okay. You want him on the
he gotta
team, but you want him on the team in his role. He's not a knockdown 3-point shooter. You want him on the team to do other things, not to be a knockdown 3-point shooter. That's not his role. But listen, I'm sure Embiid is a Tibbs guy. I'm sure Paul George is a Tibbs guy. I'm sure Kawhi is a Tibbs guy. We can't get those guys. So people kill me with, oh, we got a Tibbs guy. We should be, we got probably the lower echelon Tibbs guys that we can get. You know what I mean?
Not according to Tibbs. He was trying to draft him out of college.
He was trying to draft. He likes, I'm not saying he doesn't like him, but I'm sure these other high-level guys are Tibbs guys too.
We'll
that he
see,
just can't get. It's not like he's like, oh, I want Josh Hart. No, I don't want Kawhi. That he not a my type of guy. Give me Josh Hart. No. He just can't. Right now, we're just not in a position to get those high-level guys.
There's nobody available. Everybody, Giannis got Dame, and he lost his mind. He probably rethinking that right now. But he signed it as soon as Dame came over. You see Embiid happy with a team player like Maxey. He likes the way they're playing, even though the ball kind of just stops at him. So I guess I would like that too.
And it should start with him. He's one of the best players. He's one of the best players in the league. It always stops with your best player. I don't care what offense you're watching. People like SGA, he's probably number 1, number 2 in ISO. It's going to always stop with your best player.
Even with him, they spaced out the floor. I like OK's makeup of their team. A bunch of 3 and D players all down there all down the roster.
Somebody said, y'all talking. I may not be able to get to you unknown. Wait, hold on.
Which one? I ain't see it.
Y'all talking like we not 50. Y'all talking like we not 50 games over 5. Probably he meant y'all talking like we are 50 games over 500 and beating teams every way you can.
I'm talking like I believe this team has a shot to be in every game. That's the confidence I have with this team right now, that we have a shot, and especially if we do not beat ourselves and pay attention to small details. We have the pieces where we can make stuff interesting for people, and we're physical, so you can wear people down.
Yeah, we definitely have a puncher's chance. Like Miami last season, like Atlanta a few seasons ago, we have a puncher's chance. But Atlanta wasn't a championship contending team. Miami wasn't a championship contending team. They just got hot and made it happen. So, all right. Last time. Any
Yeah.
Anything else?
This make defense great again. we did though.
We number 1, 1 or 2. Since the OG trade. I'm happy with that. Lady and the Chef, I appreciate you from 2 Knicks Chicks. Ebony, a.k.a. Mad Knick Fan, Venture Sports Network, Knick of Time Show, everybody in the chat who came out and supported us. We got like 131 likes. We might even have more, but my mouse can't get over there to refresh. I got to figure out what's... It says the battery is 90%, so I don't know what's going on. I appreciate everybody. We'll try to be back next month in February. All right. Till next time.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.